sometimes people mistake mentorship with somebody being a biological father or parent.
No, I was the one desperate, not them.
If you don't know, you ask someone who knows, or you research yourself.
The arts is criminally overlooked in Nigeria.
Honestly, I had no money, I only had the name.
I would say lower your standards and flexibility. You have to be you have to be adaptable.
And as individuals, in fact, we have to come to a place of understanding what the vision for our lives is.
Every time you see people talk about youth empowerment, and the next thing that comes to their mind is led by football, but it doesn't make sense.
The worst thing that can happen to a man, you become a king here and you just stay there.
Opening a business is one thing, knowing how to run it properly is another thing.
Moving here is you must be prepared to unlearn.
Welcome to the Breaking Coconut Show. My name is Charles Umeh. Hi, Lauretta.
Hi, morning.
Morning, good to meet you. So, interestingly, in this episode of the BTC show, we have you. So, we're going a different route. The idea is to have people listen to someone they could learn from, someone that understands what it takes to be an immigrant in the United Kingdom and everything they need to know. So let's get to meet you. Tell us more about yourself.
Okay. Hello, I'm Lauretta Okweshi.
Okay.
I'm a mother to start with, mother of two boys.
Amazing.
I moved to the UK in 2008 for my master's degree, and I've not left since then. I did a master's in international commercial law. Amazing. Qualified in Nigeria, barrister and solicitor in Nigeria. And I'm qualified here as well as a solicitor, which is that was quite fairly recent. About a year ago, I finally did my qualification here. Okay.
Someone introduced you as someone from that has two bars.
Yes, they say it's dual qualified.
Dual qualified.
Dual qualified. Yes, dual qualified in. Well, here, not the bar here, but a solicitor here, because here you have a barrister route and solicitor route. Okay. So right now, I'm in solicitor route for now, and I'll see how that goes.
Okay, perfect. So the idea is that, Lauretta, you understand everything about the law. You understand, so what was your own journey moving from Nigeria to the UK? What has it been for you?
It's been interesting. Like I always say to people, it changes your perspective on things if you've lived it. Because the way I would see things is not the way people that have lived there for a year or 2 years will see things. Because I've seen the evolution of a lot of things. I've seen the first conservative government in 2010, and my journey as a student, and then after being a student, I worked as an operations manager for a housing charity. Okay. And that was where I did most of my work for 8 years before I moved on to the civil service. Okay. The journey is, when I came, I did everything to survive. I'm the last child in the family, so I really didn't have to, but okay. You know, when you're first independent on your own. I just finished NYSC before I moved here. Yeah, in Nigeria. So I came here. I remember my brother was in Scotland then, and he's like, oh, okay, you're here now, so I had to look for a job. I came in 2008, and anybody who remembers 2008, the great financial crash, there was a big recession, and the jobs then for students was mostly retail work, and there was no retail work for students then because we had the Nigerian accent, and the English British people were also looking for jobs. So if you go there, I remember one interview I had, I didn't know how to count my pounds and pennies. My flatmate then was teaching me, my English flatmate was teaching me how to divide the pound into 50p. It's funny now, but then I had to be, early days. I had to learn the pound, I had to learn how to smile when I'm talking on the phone.
Okay.
You know, your voice changes if you smile when you're talking on the phone. I didn't know that.
Okay.
So I had to get a lot of tips. And I think the one thing that helped me through my journey was voluntary work.
Okay.
I was told, you need to do some voluntary work, because that was the only way we could break out of the circle of manual work.
Okay.
So just do anything to introduce yourself to the society, especially if you came here as a dependent, or you didn't come here to work straight away, or if you didn't come here to study. You don't know how mannerisms, you don't know how to interact with people. Yeah. You don't know, jumping straight into the job market. It's good to get a job straight away, but the best bit of advice I ever got was do voluntary work. Okay. So I said voluntary, even from school. I was like a student ambassador. I'll put on my shirt, I'll go volunteer for the housing charity. I ended up working for 8 years for they sponsored me to stay. And then, trust me, as of 2010, sponsorship was not a thing. So we had to set them up to actually sponsor someone. And that was how my journey started.
So how has it been? What this is 2025, 2024. What's work like for you, and for everyone that is coming in, or that in quotes wants to has jackpad, or it's beginning to understand what working in a different environment compared to everything they've known? Yeah.
For me, I'm used to the system now, so work is work. So after I did I worked for the homeless. I did everything for us. So the first thing I would say is, your skill set. I studied as a lawyer. Okay. So everything law, from contracts to, I could read a document and break it down. So that was my skill set. Okay. I could do research because I'd done my master's degree. So I could do research on different things. So even as at then, I knew I couldn't get a job as a lawyer or as a solicitor. But I transferred my skill set to this, because it's funny. I went to the housing charity. I remember it was a voluntary role. I was a volunteer. And she said, so what can you do for us? I was like, I said, what do you need? And she started laughing. I was like, you've come for a job interview and you're saying, what do you need? I was like, you tell me what you need. And she's like, we need someone to keep our books. I was like, yeah, fine. I didn't know jack about bookkeeping, but because I'd gone to law school and they taught us solicitors' accounts, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Twice a week, I'll come and help you with your books. Nice. And then I walked out. I was like, oh, crap, what have I put myself in? And then I went to Amazon and I bought a bookkeeping for dummies. And then I started reading up, and I started researching, and I started doing things for her. So I started with just bookkeeping. And then one time someone she had an housing ombudsman issue. And I was like, that's not how you do it. I'm a lawyer. I was like, this is what you do. And I wrote out a very good defense for her. She was like, oh, I want you. So, and that was how my journey with them started. Okay. They had support workers, and my other job then was I was a support worker. Okay. And in that job, they trained me on the standards and all that. And she was just starting out. That's the housing charity. Okay. And I said to her, this is not how it's done. If the council sees you doing things like this, and then I brought in all the different policies and all. So the next thing I knew, she was like, can you come work full time? I was like, I'll think about it. So the point of my story is have transferable skills. Okay. Have transferable skills. I started working as an operations manager, which means everything and everything, because I could do the support work. I'd done my side job as a support worker, so I could do the support work. The legal side I could do, because obviously I could look at things and know things. Okay. The contracting bit I could do because it's a contract. So I started writing tenders for her as a charity to win funds and stuff. Okay. So, just be flexible, have transferable skills. Look for an opportunity and exploit it. I have a friend who came to work she did a uni here. She did her master's degree, and afterwards she got her sponsorship for as a healthcare assistant for more of a support worker.
Okay.
And I said to her, because she was a friend from university, so I know she's a lawyer, I know she's got these skills, and I've said to her, start looking in your company, start helping them out with paperwork.
Okay.
If it's the best you can do admin work, volunteer. Don't say, she's like, I'm not being paid for it. I was like, it's not, if you're in the house, because it's a residential accommodation, tell them, I can do the rota. Okay. I can do this. This policy, I can write it,
Be the one that comes out first.
Yeah, they got into trouble with the thing, and who were they looking for to look at what they wanted? She was the one they called up to say, you're a lawyer, help us look at this, interpret it. If you don't know, you ask someone who knows, or you research yourself. You're a professional. Don't lose your professionalism. Even if you're doing other work to survive.
Okay.
Look for that one thing you love doing. Like for me, it was always the law.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, I'm a bit passionate.
But that's a good thing.
Yeah, it was always the law. So even if it took me this long to do my solicitor's qualifying exam, but I've always been on the fringe of the law. I've always worked as either a legal support worker or, So even when I was working for the charity, we were doing, one time we had this big case with the council, and I drafted all the documents. I did the defense. I did her claim. I was cross-examining people. I was like, ooh, check me out. But most times I was like, I couldn't appear as a lawyer for her, but I was appearing as an officer of the company.
Okay.
So, you find your niche and you cling on to it.
Okay.
We all had to do, I won't tell you about the jobs I've done in this country.
No, but it helps.
My first job
Yeah.
was a stadium steward in the football. You know those people that wear...
But that's nice.
I hated that job.
No, you see all the football.
No, I hated that job. I used to swap with my colleagues. There was one time I even watched Kanu play. That was when he was playing in Stoke, Britannia Stoke Stadium. And,
nice.
And the Nigerian guys, they always knew that I preferred to stay in the fire exit and drink my coffee in peace. I don't want to watch no football. So they said, do you want to swap? They put me on the ground. I was like, yes, please. And they said, Kanu is playing. I was like, it would be nice to watch him play.
True.
I think then he was playing, was it Portsmouth he was playing for?
Okay, that should be Portsmouth.
Many years ago, that's when he was on almost retiring.
Yeah, I think that was one of his last clubs.
So that was, I did that for a few months.
Okay.
Then I did, I worked in NHS. I cleaned. I was a domestic assistant.
Nice.
So I remember when I got that job, I was still in uni then, and everyone was like, you want to go and clean in the hospital? I was like, but it's a job, because there was no retail job.
Yeah.
And the opportunity came, and I took it. And from that, I got my next job. So I was doing like 3 jobs then, plus my voluntary work, so 4 jobs. So I'll wake up in the morning, I used to do newspaper delivery. Delivering newspapers at 5 a.m. in the morning. And then from there, go to my support work. On my way back, stop in NHS, because I was doing 3-hour shifts, 3 to 4 hour shifts in NHS. Do my NHS shifts. And then the next day, I'll probably have to go and do my voluntary work somewhere else. And my mom came to visit me one day and was like, this is too much.
The last child for crying out loud.
You're not hungry. Why are you doing all this? I was like, I was single.
Yeah.
I was young.
Yeah.
I had time to explore everything I could explore.
Yeah.
So I did, when you're hungry for something, you don't want anything to hold you back.
Yeah, true.
So don't limit yourself. And then whatever you're doing, there's always that's why I love this country. There's always a transferable skill. Okay. So from cleaning, they taught me a lot of things. I could get my support work. From the support work, I could run a homeless charity.
Okay.
Do you understand? So there are always skills when it comes to job. Don't limit yourself. Nothing is too small for you. Okay. There's dignity in labor.
Yeah, and the job is a job.
The job is a job. You put food on your table and it pays your bills.
So good. I think that's a good place to start. Now, for most people that have come from parts of the world where they are in quotes kings and queens, how do you adapt coming into a new place where money are not on trees, first things, and you've done something very well, and the culture shock. What do you advise anyone coming in, or one that is in the environment that really you think they need heads up from someone like you? Yeah,
I would say lower your standards. I know everybody hears that. Lower your standards.
Okay.
And flexibility. You have to be you have to be adaptable.
Okay.
To change.
Okay.
Actually, it's actually a competency in civil service. How do you deal with change?
Okay.
You have to be adaptable, and you lower. When I say lower your standards, I don't say forget who you are and what you bring to the table.
Okay.
But lower your standards just to get on the. So, like I would say to lawyers now that are coming in, while you're sorting out your qualifications, there are admin jobs you can get that will prepare you for when you do get your qualifications. Okay. There are paralegal roles. Okay. There are legal support roles. Even paralegal roles are hard for lawyers that are qualified in Nigeria, believe you. Oh. But there are normal admin roles in a legal setting that will set you up. So when you start climbing the ladder. So I joined the civil service as an admin officer. That's the lowest you can get. Well, the second to the lowest. Okay. So you've got the administrative assistants, and then you have an admin officer, and that's where I started. Never mind, I had a master's degree, and I'd been here for over 10 years when I got that role.
Nice.
So do you understand me?
Yeah.
I could have gone for the top bit.
Yeah.
I'd run a charity, for crying out loud. So when people saw me starting with, we call it an AO role, and they're like, even my colleagues were like, get out of here. You're way qualified. I was like, I know, but this was a job I saw. I've applied for it. I've gotten it. The best you can do is be the best in any situation you find yourself. Even if you're a carer, do your best. That's my mantra. Even when I'm cleaning, everybody knew that. Oh, when I was a domestic assistant, I was always on time, always did my job properly. Didn't complain. You know how people will say, "Oh, disabled people, I can't volunteer, I can't do this, I can't do that." But you found yourself, you're in that situation. They didn't beg you to come. You came. So you might as well be the best in whatever you do. Whatever you've picked up to say, okay, this is going to put food on my table. Why are you slacking at that job?
That's the question.
Do you understand? So that's part of change management as well. Okay. If you found yourself in a situation, you've looked for, I'm not saying don't look for the big jobs. People do it. I know people that have come here and they've gotten professional jobs straight off the bat. But while you're doing that, you have to feed your family, especially if you've come with family. True. You have to feed your family. So you put in your best because you don't know who's watching.
I think that's more important.
You don't know who's watching. You don't know what skills you're getting. Yeah. They say integrity is doing the right thing when you think nobody's watching. True. So you do your best and be good at what you do, whatever you've decided to do.
Now, you talked about volunteering. Now, in this part of the world where, especially most people that are coming to, I've always believed that the easiest way to get things done is coming as a volunteer. Now, but you re-emphasizing it is like it's me saying this is it. It always works. So how do you think it works in a country like this? And how do you think for anyone that is starting out, how do they find their feet volunteering? Remembering that volunteering is showing your skill set, not expecting the money, but it's like at the end of the day, it's work.
Yes. So the thing with voluntary work is, I think that was the best advice I got when I came. Volunteer. I volunteered. I was a student ambassador in school. Okay. Everything, even at work, when they say, "Oh, we're looking for volunteers," so me, pick me, because you never know what will open up.
Yeah, that's true.
You never know. So, I volunteered as a student ambassador in school. That helped me with my communication skills, because that's very important here. Yeah. I'm not saying go and be speaking. No, that's not the thing. You need to know how to talk.
Yeah, true.
You need to know how to, you need to know their mannerisms.
Yeah.
You need to know their little jokes they tell.
Yes, because those little jokes, those little jokes are like you might be lost.
Do you understand? To communicate, to get people to warm up to you.
Yeah.
You need to understand the system. And if you limit yourself, I'm not saying being with Nigerians is a bad thing, but if you limit yourself, you can't open up. Your mindset can't open up. When I came, we didn't have much of, WhatsApp. There was no WhatsApp. What am I saying? There was no BBM. Most people used to communicate by Yahoo chat, and Facebook was just starting.
Yes.
Then.
Yes.
So I lost a lot of friends back home, and the people that came with me, that was when they stopped post-study work. After, I think my set was the last before they froze it. They've opened it back again. So I lost a lot of contacts. So my life then was work, come home, hustle. I had Nigerian housemates, and but I knew I didn't want to be cleaning NHS toilets for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. How do I do it? So then, back in the day, I went to, there was a Change? There was a voluntary work website, Just Do It or something, that they used to advertise in school.
Okay.
I went on there. I saw the housing charity I worked for. I was like, okay, it's an office setting. Let me start from there. I remember I was living in Selly Oak then, very near University of Edgbaston. And I got on the 11 bus. And they said it was in Handsworth. I was like, okay, Handsworth. I said, now, wow, this kind of place, this UK. We were coming. And then Handsworth then was Handsworth. It was a crazy place to be in.
Okay.
So the bus was going. I was like, When I finally found the place, I was like, I was expecting when you hear charity, a fancy place, and madam, but it wasn't all that. And I was like, we are where we are. So how do I do it? By then, my expectations were buried on the floor. I walked into the office. First of all, it was a housing agency, and I was, wow, okay. And then my boss then came out. I was like, okay, free. They don't stress themselves in this country. Nobody wants to, not the way suited and booted and very chatty. I was like, okay, yeah. What can you do for me? I was like, now me they find work on anything you want. Sure. I was like, what do you need? That was what I asked her. What do you need? And she said bookkeeping. I was like, oh God, me and numbers. Anybody who knows lawyers will know that numbers are not our thing.
Because lawyers run away from numbers.
Oh, we hate numbers. So she said bookkeeping for now. I was like, okay. I can do that. I remember I did solicitor's account in Nigerian law school. Yeah. I'll go and dig out my books. Because that's what I do. Anytime I find something I'll go and research. As I was leaving our office that day, I quickly went on Amazon and looked for bookkeeping for dummies. And I ordered it. I was like, before the next week I'm coming here, I better know how to do this thing. If not, I'm done for.
No,
and
you were always looking for your own.
And that's how you start to. I'm not saying bite more than you can chew, but I'm saying, try your hands at different things.
Okay. Try
your hands. Voluntary work has worked for me. Anybody who's come to this country, I've always said, you have all this, charity shops.
Yeah.
Go and help out once a week. Nice. A few hours here and there.
Nice.
Back in the day, legal advice bureau was big. I think they've closed their offices now.
Okay.
Go there. My husband trained there. He's not a lawyer. But when he came, I was like, he volunteered for British Heart. He was stacking shelves.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, So just to leave the house every day, just to learn the way things work, he volunteered for Legal Advice Bureau.
Okay. And
he started building his communication skills and adapt. That's how you adapt. Communication is very important.
Yeah.
It's the way we behave, and even if you want to have your own business, I always say to people that want to have their own business, you need to know how the system works first.
Yeah.
If you've not worked for someone here, how would you know how to employ people?
And even how do you get the clients?
How do you get the clients?
I have the money.
How do you communicate? What do you do?
Yeah.
You don't know. So you know, and if nobody's giving you a paid job,
Yeah.
1 day a week, 2 days, I know it's hard. Anybody I say will be like, no, hustle. Money is important, yeah.
You can't
But you need to keep the eye on the goal. You need to, what's your end game?
Yeah.
What's your end game? Can I afford to volunteer? If I can do a few jobs here and there, even if it's in church, run a youth group. I ran a youth group. No, but it's true.
True.
I ran a youth group. So even if it's in church, I can only speak from a lawyer's perspective.
Yeah.
What can you do? Oh, they are fundraising. I can write a few letters here and there. I can draft this. I can do that. What can you do
For them.
for them? You don't want to be stuck in the rut of.
Not in action.
Do you understand? Your brain needs to. So, but if you're happy, I'm not saying being a healthcare assistant or whatever is a bad thing. If you're happy doing that, like I said, there's dignity in labor. Yeah. There are people that have come and said, you know what, Lauretta, I was so stressed practicing in Nigeria. I like the fact that I can wake up, go to work. I don't have to think about it.
Good for me.
Perfect. But if it's not working for you, if you know you want to move into something else, then start looking for those opportunities.
Okay.
How you can use your transferable skills to get there. You know, people that are into IT, what did they do? You know, coding. People, how do you're thinking, how am I going to use my IT skills? There will always be an opportunity somewhere, somehow. And that's how you get yourself out there.
Sure. So now you understand what the law is. You understand what are those things that you think most immigrants, especially from the part of the world,
driving. Guys, please get your license before you get into a car.
So you see, in for instance, in Lagos is the first place you go to where you want to drive like a mad person.
Do your test. Get your license. Don't drive. No, seriously, it's so bad, and you don't want a criminal conviction. Because it limits you. Very true. Once you see that DBS you do, once you have a criminal conviction, it limits you.
So driving could also create that problem.
Yes. Driving, drunk driving. Drunk driving. And you see our people, they are drunk driving with no license.
And that's like double.
That's double wahala. I know. I say this because I see it happening. So yeah, driving. Well, keep your nose clean. Okay. Keep your nose clean. That's the first thing. Whatever you're doing, even if it's in business, know the legal regulations around taxation. There are accountants that will do this for you. Okay. If you're earning above, it's a quick search on .gov.uk. And it will tell you what you need. Okay. If you need to register, how much tax you need to pay. When you're earning above a certain limit, then you have to file your annual returns. Okay. If you do things properly, our people do like backdoor. You don't want to get into trouble. No, because many people will do it and get away with it. Yeah. But at what cost if you're caught? That's what you need to think about. True. That's what you need to think about. So, for taxation, I think you need to be, and I can't remember the exact figure, but if you're earning above a certain amount, then you have to declare it. You need to do your annual returns. Okay. If you want to register a business, you need to do all that just to keep yourself covered. Find the regulations around your business, especially people that cook. There are a lot of people that do catering and all that. Yeah. What the food standards, you need to be sure about that. You need to make sure you've got all the necessary paperwork. So that when they come for you, you're like, no, I've done this properly. You understand? So whatever field you want to go into. So because I can't advise on any specific field. Okay. Because there's so many. I'm using cooking because I know people cook and all that. I know driving because we get into trouble a lot with driving, us Africans. I know you people think, I'll drink one Gouda in Nigeria, 1 or 2 bottles, and I can drive, and nobody will.
Because it's like nobody, as in those are things that you could get away with.
Yes, but those things put criminal convictions on you, and that's what you don't want. You don't want to get into trouble with your business if you've built it so high up, and then suddenly one day you're in trouble with it. So, whatever business you're thinking of, think about what are the regulations covering this business. That's why I always say opening a business is one thing, knowing how to run it properly is another thing. You need to do your research. You need to know, okay, what is the regulatory environment on this business? That other people are doing it and getting away with it does not make it right. One day they will come for you.
Perfect. So now, interesting. So let's look at family. What's your own advice to people that... So when you started, you introduced yourself as a mother
And a wife.
and a wife.
Yeah.
So definitely you figured out to an extent what it is for you to come in here with family, have responsibilities, and what you've seen. Because the good thing about your position now is that you're looking at the legal implications of you. What's your own story about families, and how do you think people coming in with those interesting mindset should be prepared?
Okay. I know my own is a bit different because when I came, I didn't come in with my family. I started my family after a few years here. I've been married for 9 years now, almost 9 years, 2015. I'm lucky, I have to say that, because my husband allows me to be me. We're partners.
Perfect.
If you're here with your family, I know in Nigeria, my husband is still the head of the home. I believe in all that. I'm not people say I'm a feminist because I'm a lawyer. I'm not a feminist. I have to say that. Yeah. But you have to be partners.
Yeah, for it to work.
It's like a relay race. You pass the baton. I'll tell you a story. When we had our first child, he's 7 now. You know how expensive nursery fees can be here. Yeah. We had no one. So we both worked in the same office building, civil service. So I worked in the morning, 7 to 3 p.m., 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And he worked what they call twilight shifts. So he worked, I think, 4 to 10. Okay. So what used to happen is he will bring my little boy to the front of the office, and then I'll take him back home while he goes into the office. So it's little things like that. He's more, the normal memes that they'll be like when mommy leaves the children with daddy at home. In my house, it's the other way around. It's when daddy leaves the child with mommy at home, because the boys run circles around me. But with him, he's so on point with a lot of things. Okay. It's a partnership thing. Yeah. If it's a case of only one person can work and one person is at home to be with the children, then you guys have to work as a partner. It's not a case of one person being above the other or the other person, that's how it works. And it will get better as the children grow. That's the thing. You just need to look at the end game, the end plan. Yeah. It does get better. My last one started reception on Friday, and we literally threw a party.
That's freedom for a while.
Freedom, because he was in nursery and he was only 3 days a week. So he had to be home Monday and Friday, whilst luckily he could work from home. But I have to go to court, so I was hardly at home. Okay. So he's at home with him Mondays and Fridays, and he's like, oh my God. And then he's still doing his night. He still does his side hustle because he does NHS as well in the night. So it's a case of try. And then because of all that, I have to have my weekends free to to give him some relief. Yeah. Yeah. I told you that if I'm coming out, I have to be home at a certain time. So those are the things you need to. It's not me. It's not him lording it over me or me lording it over him. You have to be sensitive to your partner's needs as well. You have to understand that both of you are in a country that is not your own. Yeah, first. So you have to take up the responsibility. Like I always say, I've said it before, even at work, even at home, you pick up something and you do it well. Yes. If you're providing, provide well. If you're cooking, cook well. If not only food you sabi, do them well. Do you understand? No half-ass. No, I don't like doing things halfway. Yeah. There are few things I do, but you pick up one thing and say, okay, I hate cleaning. I know I'm a woman. I shouldn't say that out loud. But if I want to cook, I will cook. Very well. Do you understand? And my husband will enjoy. He will wait for me. It doesn't matter when I'm finishing work. Yeah. I'll still go home and make dinner. Yeah. Even if he's been the one at home, even if he's at home, because I know he enjoys that. I know that's the best I can do for my family.
Yeah.
And I'm in that position to say, you know what, you guys will have a good dinner. I've not been at home, but you guys will have a good dinner every day. I'll make sure of that. Unless I'm on the rare occasion that I'm delayed or whatever, then of course he knows that that's an exception.
Okay.
Make it an exception.
Yeah.
If you're good at cleaning. Do you understand? Find that one thing and hang on to it.
Right.
Providing, your women, your partner, you know, I see people saying, no, she doesn't contribute. And I'm like, in this day and age, and I see they
have this conversation.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Pick up the bills. If you're working, pick up bills. If he's what, you know, try and balance things out. It doesn't have to be equal.
Okay, that's another one.
It doesn't have to be equal because your position is different from the other person. What you can do might be more than what the other person can do.
But time, yeah.
You understand? It doesn't have to be equal, but that's my limited. 9 years is not much, and you'd have to ask my husband if he's working. But I'm still in the marriage, so I'm hoping he's working.
Your husband dropped you.
He's not. He's my chauffeur.
So he's working. Good. Okay. So so the final one. So what's your so because I know most people will come after you to come and hear from listen and get feedback from you. So what's that one thing you think? Thank you for everything you've shared. Now for most immigrants that are in the UK now, what's that one thing you think they should that if you could talk to your brothers and sisters and tell them, come, see guys, let's do this thing right from your experience that you think would help them thrive in business, thrive in families, that'll make you proud whenever you see them, like that you think that they need to know the blind spots you think or some things you think most people are not even aware of. What if they knew this that they could do better from your own point of view?
That's a hard question. I'm not sure. I think the best thing that would work for everyone is do you.
Okay.
Be yourself.
Okay.
If you're a natural born manager, manage any situation.
Okay.
If you're if you're a follower, follow well. Integrity. I think that's the thing lacking in our community.
Yeah.
We're so used to backdoor. No, we're so used to backdoor. We would be the ones that would drive without a license. We would drive drunk. We would be the loudest in the room. There's this debate that was going on in YouTube about bringing your own food to the office. We'll be the ones that will stink out the office. We'll be the ones who just don't be a nuisance. Right. It's not hiding who you are.
Yeah.
It's just generally being a good person. No, that's how I see it. Somebody will be like, that's how we talk. We're loud. We eat beans and fish in the office because that's who we are. And
they don't tell you those things. Yeah.
That's who you are. No, really. Who told you?
True.
Just be considerate.
Yeah.
These people are not used to it.
True.
Even in Nigeria, if you do it, somebody will tell you that your food stinks.
True.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Even in Nigeria, if you shout too much, you won't go to your office and start chatting in a language that maybe if you're Yoruba and you're in the East, let me say if you're Igbo and you're somewhere else, you won't go there and start talking in a language they don't understand. You're here, speak English.
Yeah.
You can do it. You can speak English. So why are you not doing it? Why are you being stubborn for no reason? I think that's what annoys me. And people will say, I'm a sellout. No. You're in a society. You go by the rules. Even the Bible says when you're in Rome, you behave
like Romans.
Do you understand? That's why things work here.
Yeah.
You've left your country because it doesn't work. So to me, it's integrity. Do the right thing, even when you think nobody's watching.
Yeah.
You throw something on the floor, pick it up.
Yeah.
It works.
True.
It works. No, it's true. That's my
ideology, which is how it's meant to be. Which is how it's
I'm not saying don't be brave and do. Sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. I'm not saying be a mouse, but do it with conscience.
With conscience.
Yeah, conscience.
Okay, that's fair. So how do we get to reach you? Because at the end of the day, people might want to reach you to ask you for questions and feedback. How do we find you? What's the best place to find you?
I'm on, I think I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Lauretta Okweshi.
Okay, perfect.
I think I'm on Facebook as well.
Okay.
And Instagram.
Okay.
That's the best I will do. I'm not joining any other of those social networking sites. But yeah, well, yeah, I'm on LinkedIn and I'm happy to advise. I know a lot of lawyers wanting to qualify. So I do help out with advice on how to do that through the solicitors qualifying exams. I can also help with, pointing you in the right direction to legal jobs and that you can, legal support roles that you don't necessarily have to have a full legal qualification to do. Providing, of course, you have the right work permit, because unfortunately they don't really have lots of sponsorship jobs in the legal field. But I can also advise on voluntary work that would help, develop yourself as a lawyer. So you can reach out on LinkedIn. If you just put my name in LinkedIn, I'm sure, and drop me a message. I can be very busy, but bear with me. It will take a while, but we'll get there. I would answer. Because of course, it was someone who helped me when I was wondering how to do the SQE and what to do and stuff like that. So, and it was a Nigerian. I just saw her name on LinkedIn. I was like, oh yeah, she's registered. How do I go about I've done the exams, I've passed. How do I go about getting my certificate of good standing and stuff like that? And she's pointed me in the right direction. So, it's pay forward. I'm happy to do that. If you've not written the exams, if you need guidance on what to do and all that, is, I'm happy to talk you through it and general inquiries. I can't really offer legal advice.
No, you've done enough with this.
I'm happy to, if you have an issue, I'm happy to point you in the right direction. Yes, but
so we've heard from her. So don't worry, no free legal advice, but she can always help. So Lauretta, there's something we always do. We always give our guests.
Oh, nice.
So this is like a coconut. So yes. I'll leave you to do whatever you want to do with it. The name of the show is the Breaking the Coconut Show. The idea is that we all have our own coconuts. The idea is that our ability to break it, eat it, makes us better. So I always ask one very funny question. In the UK, do you think you've finally broken your coconut?
No. No, I think every day is learning. I've said earlier on, I've recently qualified. I've started my journey all over again. Because if I was to stay if I was going to be an admin manager, I probably would have gone to the highest. But because I'm really passionate about the law, I've started all over again. So there's always a coconut to break.
Nice.
And that's life, isn't it? You find a coconut and you break it. You pick another one and you break it. So I'm still learning. Things change. I'm still learning. There's always a lesson in every situation. True. And in any position I find myself. So I've picked up another coconut that I'm still breaking. So I'm hoping, yes. So
Thank you for your time. Yeah. I know I have to let you go so that you take care of the kids, but it was great for sharing this short time, and hopefully you will get to hear from people what this. Trust me, I think this session with you has also taught me something. It's good to hear from people that experienced that have experienced everything in the land. It helps you understand that your thoughts of doing the right thing is valid. And for someone like you that represents the Nigerian flag well, wherever you see yourself, it's like, for me, I see it as a good rep for the green, white, green, wherever you go. So, so when I heard you say your master. The funny thing is we keep talking about brain circulation. Now the idea is that when people go out to study, people classify them as brain drain, and I'm like, it's brain circulation, because what finally happened was that they went to go get new knowledge, and they use that new knowledge to help the society, and the world is a global village, and it's circulation because it's no more, it doesn't have to remain where we are. So you're a good example of using your knowledge to make impact. So well done.
Thank you. That's an interesting perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauretta.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting conversation.
Gracias.
My name is Charles.
Thank you.
So hi. Finally, we finally had to do this, right?
We are here.
Good to meet you, Erroll.
Yes, good to be here.
So you see, I'll start with saying it's glad to finally sit down with you. It's glad to finally tell the world about what you're doing in this part of the world. But first things first, I'll let you to tell the world, who am I speaking with?
Wow. Well, firstly, thank you for having me on the show today. My name is Eroll Lawson.
Yeah.
I'm a minister, I'm an author, I'm a coach, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a husband, I'm a father. And I love people. I love serving people, I love making a difference. And yeah, born and raised right here in Birmingham, where we are now.
Awesome.
Good to be here.
So how has your journey been like? So I've read several parts of your story. You've talked about being author. Now I have almost all your books here. Now, what's been your journey like from living in Birmingham, starting a family here, running your business? How has it been like for you practically? I'm looking at the audience, looking at someone that isn't, this is your community. What has growing up been like for you before you finally emerged to this version of yourself?
Well, Birmingham, like most places, is a land of opportunity. And I think there's a great advantage for somebody who's coming in from Nigeria or from other parts of the world where they are educated. There's a lot of advantages. In fact, there's a road across the road from here where I actually grew up. My first home was on Broadway Road, not far from here. And I grew up here in Birmingham, and at age 11, my parents divorced. And I went off the rails completely. My dad was incarcerated for most of my teenage years. I was homeless at 16 years old, right? So the context that I was raised in and lived in was one where racism was the order of the day. And so black people, black Caribbean people growing up in Birmingham here, there was a lot of struggle, resistance, opposition, persecution, and we were limited for opportunities. And so the consequence of that was that we carried a lot of weight and our chips on our shoulders, we would say. So we went through life kind of, pointing fingers, making excuses, and there's a lot of struggle factored into the system. And so I said it to say that since obviously I've been to Africa several times now, on missionary work, ministry work, different things, and I have seen the difference in the character and the disposition of a black person who is raised in an environment like Africa, where there's no opposition to your identity directly. You're free to aspire, to dream big, to imagine big for yourself. And then you come here with that. I mean, I remember going to Ghana at times and talking to kids about goal setting. Their goals would always be things like president and prime minister, doctor, and they just had this aspiration that you ask the same questions to young people here, raised here, you wouldn't see it in them, right? And so, well, they'll be thinking about, a lot of the times it was just to make money, right? Just to make money, and that could be through illegal means, it could be through maybe doing what their parents are doing, that they've seen their parents do. But there was a limitation, hence my first book was called From the Postcode to the Globe, How to Overcome Limitations and Realize Your Potential. And so I think, that's my first one, the bestseller on Amazon. I think there's a lot of psychological, mental, emotional advantages to not having been raised in this environment. And if you can carry your confidence that you've found from home and bring that into this place, man, you're gonna shine. You're gonna shine. You can see it that way. I believe you will.
So what would you say was your own, now we've talked about your era, racism, how were you able to overcome those odds for you and finally become this version of, because definitely when you beat the odds and finally come out this way, it's not always it's not as smooth as it sounds. So what was it like for you? Because when I came into this town and I came to visit you, the funny thing was that I'd known you way back from Nigeria. I'd followed you on the internet, and I was like, when you get into the city, the first rule is find out those in the city that have thrived in the city and ask them questions. And the good question is, how are you able to thrive? I'm not asking you to give me everything, but what was it like for you? What was your own strong journey?
Yeah. So it's a great question. And I think the key thing for me at age 19, I had what you might call a date with destiny, really. I was standing in front of a judge in Birmingham Magistrates Court. I was being sentenced, right? When they say if your parents go to prison, and chances are you'll go the same way. Anyway, I was there, and the judge said to me, Mr. Lawson, you're not going to prison, but you are going to do 100 hours of community service. What that meant was that I'd have to go to a place down the road from here, Perrybar Probation Office every Friday, and check in there to do my hours until my hours are completed. But the great turn of events was that my probation officer, a black man called Ransford Clarkson, he saw me and he said, let me give this young man a chance. And he took me to a place in Handsworth, not far from here, to do my hours at a building owned by an old Irishman. His name was John Holcroft. And long story short, John became a father figure to me. This mentor, this father figure saw past my limitations, my mindset, my everything about me, and just believed in me when no one else did. And I was at rock bottom. I was at absolute rock bottom, and he just made me realize my potential and gave me an opportunity to start my first company at 19 years old. He mentored me. He guided me to get that started. And when that company then started, it became a huge turning point for me. And so you said exactly the right thing. You know, it's about relationships, and it's about people, and it's about having that mindfulness and that intentionality about surveying the land and asking people, sitting down, having conversations with people, finding out how the systems work here, how the roadmap is laid out, and then, just building relationships. And so for me, it was a key relationship in this gentleman called John that opened up a whole world of possibilities to me. I found myself in meetings with city leaders and councillors and all kinds of people I'd never imagined sitting in front of, and hearing them talk and discuss important things and saying to myself, is this all they do? I can do this, right? If this is what it takes, this is what it's all about, I can do this. And by the exposure, my confidence began to grow. By the exposure, my dreams began to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that was probably the main thing at the start of my journey.
So what you've said now is the power of mentorship, the power of having someone that really believes in you, and having someone that, because trust me, having someone that bets on you is like, it's 10, is like on a scale of 1/10 is like 10. Now, there's one mistake we normally make when it comes to having someone that bets on you. How do you manage a relationship that's built on mentorship? Because it's easy to get one, but where we have the problem most times is the gap in between. I've met my mentor. Now, how do I build that relationship so that, one, I'm not a burden to my mentor. I'm also a work in progress, because at the end of the day, I think the big idea for every mentor is to finally say, yes, I helped him make it. How do I make sure it's worth the journey for you, that is the mentor, and for me, that is the mentee, so that we don't have a parasitic relationship, or we don't have one relationship where one person gets tired and one person gets scared of showing up. What do you think was that one thing that you did well that made this relationship thrive?
So I think there's a few things, right? I think one thing is about proximity, okay? And when we talk about mentors, a mentor can be in a book, right? You can pick up a book and you can be mentored by someone's writings or watching them, right? But in a person-to-person, actual physical relationship, it's to do our best to keep our proximity to the person, right? So if you imagine the first day I met John, there were 3 of us standing there, and we were all there smoking on spliffs, and he came out of his car to us who were sent to do our community service hour thing. And it gave us all an opportunity. He said, any of you lads here play football? And we were like, yeah. And what? He said, well, I want to start a football team from this building. I'll give you the kits, the league fees, the minibus, whatever you need to run this team. We looked at each other and we said, nah, you're okay, mate. Long thing, you know, we walked off and we left it. But at the end of that day, I went back to John. I said, John, tell me more. Because I love the game of football. I already had a team that I was part of and running and tell me more. He said, yes, sir, I'll give you the kit, the minibus, whatever you need. I want to start a team. And on a Sunday morning, I said, okay, I'll do it. And he gave me everything. I ran the team. My team were all gang members. But what interestingly happened was the team didn't last very long because of the fights and everything else, right? But I ended up staying with John. And the other two guys who were with us, they had the same opportunity.
Okay.
They were asked the same question.
Okay.
Their stories are very different. I could tell you that another day. But it was about proximity. I stayed with John. I literally followed him around everywhere I could just to sit with him and learn from him. Sometimes you may have a mentor where you don't know him that well, or they're in another country, right?
Yeah.
My pastor's in another country, he's in Nigeria, right?
Oh, really?
And so it's like, how do I maintain a relationship?
Yeah.
Honor,
Right.
very important, right?
Yeah.
Honor the person,
Yeah.
honor them, honor and respect the boundaries of the relationship. Sometimes people mistake mentorship with somebody being a biological father or parent, and they get so familiar with the individual as though they cross the lines of honor and respect before permission has been given. Any additional space inside a mentor's life must be given by permission. It must be an invitation closer to them. Until such time as you receive the invitation to come closer into their world, into their space, assume that you are on trial. Assume that you're being tested. Assume that they're watching you to see how true you are, how sure you are, how authentic you are, how much you are sincere in your pursuit, in your fellowship of them. Are you with me?
Yeah.
And so it's I mean, I have mentees and I've had amazing sons, amazing, sons who are so just that my heart, that I carry them in my heart. Then there are others who become over familiar or on friendly terms that I haven't granted that, or we haven't come to that place of understanding or into permission hasn't been given, right? And so they've assumed it, but it's not granted. Are you with me?
Yeah.
And so I think honor is always important. And if somebody has received you and accepted you as a mentee, it's better to assume at that point that you are on trial, that you are being tested,
Yeah.
and honor them, be humble, accept the opportunities you're given, be a blessing, serve them, ask, how can I serve you? How can I be a blessing to you? How can I be of value to you? But don't take ground where permission is not being given.
I think that answers a lot of questions, because it's always the assumption that he's my mentor, she's my mentor, and I can do everything. I think nobody tells you these things, Erroll. Nobody sees this. Nobody sees it. Everybody assumes you are aware. And when you cross the boundaries, maybe the next time you pick up the phone to call,
You've been blocked.
you've been ghosted. and so that gets to the next conversation. I'm like, there are rules of engagement and leadership, and oh, you've done this for. So I've written books, but when I see anyone that has done this, that have books, I understand one. It takes patience to write. It takes so much to put this together. Now, what do you think that leadership in the whole of the UK now, you're a voice to young people, you've run your business, and you've seen the leadership gaps in this era of where everybody feels that we have technology, and technology is like the first is your go-to, but you know very well that there's a leadership gap on how to react, how to be with people. What's that lesson you think most people in the 21st century, 2025, 2024 workplace needs to always embrace for them to finally thrive? Yeah.
I think you probably agree with me on this one. There are several. I mean, I talk about the 5 core abilities of highly effective leaders in my book, and my leadership book. But I think one of the key things when it comes to people, it's about emotional intelligence, right? Okay. Understanding emotional intelligence. If there is one people skill I wish that everybody would have, it would be this. Somebody who is emotionally intelligent is able to, number one, empathize with other people.
Yeah.
They can put themselves in the shoes of other people. They can see the world from their vantage point. They can relate to them. They're able to humble themselves in such a way that they create such a world of space for the person that they're connecting and communicating with. It takes emotional intelligence to do that.
True, I agree.
They're also able to read their own emotions.
Okay.
So they know themselves. They have a certain level of self-awareness about their strengths, their weaknesses, their likes, their dislikes, their areas of growth and development, their personality traits, the environments in which they thrive, and all those things. They're very much aware of how they're showing up and being perceived in life.
Okay.
But thirdly, they're able to adapt their own emotional inner state
Okay.
to the environment that they are in.
Okay.
And so when they are speaking with somebody who is overly excited, emotional, whatever it is, they themselves, they either know how to read that person and adapt to that person fittingly in the moment. Are you with me?
Yeah.
And so what happens a lot of the times, we see the opposite, don't we?
Sure.
We see people who completely lack emotional intelligence, and so they have one track. So everyone that they speak to, it's bam.
They're very high.
They're very high, right? Whereas and everybody else in the room is very quiet and very calm and very sober and somber. And they come in and they insist on being the here I am, right?
Yeah.
No, you didn't read the room. You didn't read the room.
And there's a crime for it.
Right?
Yeah.
As everyone else goes, okay then, kind of, right? And so our ability to read the environment, to read the room, is what we call emotional intelligence. And so if we're going to thrive in any environment, and what you said earlier about being able to reach out to people, to contact people, to arrange meetings, to have conversations, it's an indication of having emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Because somebody who doesn't realize that, well, they're always going to be more self-conscious than they are the other person conscious. They're always going to be looking down themselves and doubting and questioning themselves and not able to get out of their comfort zone. But when you know who you are and you have a vision in life for yourself, you understand your purpose, you realize that for me to move forward, I have to come out of this place called my comfort zone and reach out and meet some new people. And it becomes a part of who you are. It becomes natural, becomes normal. Hallelujah.
True. So what you're saying in your message for this book is that we have to, you've given me 2 hours, we have 3 more. I need you to tell me the 3 more. We'll get the book. But the idea is this. I know in this space, people, one of the few lessons I picked around here is that because people are more self-sufficient, people don't completely admit that human skills, what you're speaking about is important to them. How do you make it bare to them? How do you show the blind man that, see, you can't see? without making them feel, because at the end of the day, I'm like, people silly. When Henry Ford came out, and before we had Ford, they told him, people will always use horses. I mean, he told them, you've not given them the cars yet. They had to see the cars for them to see that horses were just the options they had. How do you help people in your work to make them realize that this skill of human skills that is important is key to them, without them feeling, making it, is like within the room, within their ignorance, and understanding that it's a need for them? And how do you pass it across? Because you've been doing it in your own line of work.
Great question. I think this is an ability of leaders, right? And I in my book, I call it the vision number one. Ability number one is vision, and it's being able to create and communicate a compelling vision. So as leaders, those who have people that we are either serving or leading, and as individuals, in fact, we have to come to a place of understanding what the vision for our lives is. We know the Bible says without a vision, the people perish. Well, what is a vision? Somebody might be asking, Pastor Erroll. Well, a vision is, it's a picture of your revealed future, all right? a picture of your revealed. Now, I'm speaking from a Christian perspective. If I was in a leadership conference in the secular space, I'd say it's a picture of your preferred future.
Yeah.
But we know, as a minister, as a leader, Christian leader, it's a picture of our revealed future. It's what I have seen from God, from the Word of God, whether through prophecy, through dream, through vision, through impartation, through prayer, through study of the Word. I have seen something of God that reveals to me who I am. Okay. And that who-ness of who I am becomes the vision for my life. And everything now, every decision that I make must be in alignment with the vision for my life. I'll give you an example. When I was younger, when I became a Christian, I realized very quickly that I needed to be able to be a public speaker. I was so afraid of speaking. I'd started a business, and at my first business event, I was asked to go on stage and speak. And I hid behind the curtain. I literally, Charles, I said, no, my friend Terry can go and do that, close the show. I can't do it. Too many people. And I hid. I was scared. But the vision that God had given me for my life was one of ministry and pastoring people. And it was impossible for me to lead in that way without having the ability to communicate. So what did I do? Because the vision drove me to realize that this thing in my life had to check. So I joined speaking clubs, the Toastmasters group, Professional Speakers Association, entered speaking competitions, and every opportunity I had in church to deliver the offering talk, or to do the announcements, or to just to practice these skills, I learned so much in the church. And so the vision for my life drove me then to develop skills that would help me to achieve and accomplish the vision. And so somebody here who's hearing us today, who's maybe saying to themselves, and they're feeling very maybe stuck or stagnant or in their comfort zone, I would always encourage you to go back to what has God written concerning you. What has been spoken concerning your life, your destiny, your future. Maybe it was when you were younger, a family friend spoke to you, a church leader spoke to you, someone in the workplace, a boss spoke to you and said, this is who you are, this is what you're good at, this is who you can become. They spoke to that part of you that no one else can deny or describe. That thing that you got to press into that. You got to key into that sense of purpose and then develop the skills that are required to become that individual. Are you with me?
Yeah. Perfect. So I didn't want you to stop.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is 2024, the year of the coming to the end. In a couple of months time, the review of the year. That's the best time where you have your expertise comes into play. What's the best way for anyone who has looked at their year, seen the gaps, and wants to intentionally want to pick up their own lesson and to do their own life better? What would you advise for them?
So yeah, your questions are very good. Friend, you've done it before.
No, you're the expert. You understand the environment, so it will make sense. So someone said, when you come to King Solomon and there are several options on the table, what should you do? You ask King Solomon questions, because that's the only way for you to. Because at the end of the day, knowledge is rare. Not everyone has it. So for someone that's experienced the environment, it will come easy for you. But for the rest of the people out there, it's difficult for them. Yeah.
So let me give you maybe a different take on this for someone who's listening. Okay. And they're in that position and thinking about how do they review the 12-month period. Well, I would say to you, my friend, my brother, my sister, the time to review your year is not the end of the year. All right? Yeah. If you're only reviewing your year in December, then you've missed too many opportunities to review. So I would even recommend you to break down your year into 3-month chunks, so quarters. And every 3 months we do what we call sprints. Yeah. A 3-month sprint where we have our 90-day goals. And we set our goals for 90 days, and then every 90 days we review, we reflect, and we check out our progress, and then we set goals for the next 90 days. Yeah. Are you with me? And so what I find from my mentors and from other successful leaders is that they're not doing annual reviews of their lives, their goals, their ministries. They're actually chunking down their ministries, or sorry, their goals and objectives into quarterly goals and objectives, and there's a quarterly review. Are you with me?
Yeah.
What that allows somebody to do is to make faster progress, right?
Yeah.
Because what you're doing in your review is you're asking yourself what went well, what didn't go so well, and what can I do better next time around.
Yeah.
And you're making the shifts, you're getting the slight edge advantage over those different objectives and goals, and then you're taking action forward. Are you with me?
Yeah.
And so I'd say to you, we know traditionally we say New Year's and New Year's resolutions. Those things are not really for successful people and leaders who are seeking to drive change and innovate and create a legacy and generational impact. They're not thinking about New Year's resolutions. I'm sure if you ask any person who you know who's a member, a significant leader, any guys,
Yeah.
they're not thinking about New Year's resolutions.
True.
They're setting objectives and goals every day. In some cases, they're reviewing and reflecting. It's not just New Year's. So New Year's is a good time because there's a break in the year. There's a holiday period.
Yeah.
People are chilled. They're wind down. They're with family. They're relaxing and reflecting. But it shouldn't be the only time of the year that you come to review and reflect on your goals.
Okay. So Erroll, let's look at your business. Towards the end of the year, there will be awards for you've looked at the niche of young people in construction. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Now, it's a rare. I was surprised seeing you go into that part, and I'll tell you for one reason. Maybe that's not the kind of business that people think young people. Your ability to recognize people that are doing the work in that sector. What gave birth to you going into that niche and having a need for yourself in that area?
So about 2 years ago, I was genuinely praying and asking God for wisdom, and He gave me this idea for the Building the Future Awards. The Building the Future Awards are designed to inspire the next generation into the construction and built environment sector here in the UK. In the UK, there's a skills shortage. There's a numbers gap of people going into the industry. There's a wrong narrative around the industry that it's for the kids who are bad, the kids who are underachieving, the kids who come out of prison, and both parents, careers workers, teachers don't really advise kids to go into it. It's not their first choice. When the reality is that there are a whole host of opportunities in the industry, whether it's architecture, whether it's management, site management, project management, design, you name it, surveillance, law, consultancy, so many strands in the industry to be considered, yet it's not one that kids are often pushed into. And so it was realizing this, that there's an opportunity for young people in our city. There's a huge youth unemployment problem. And the thing was, youth being my passion, how can I help to inspire these kids into construction and creating opportunities for them? Well, let's celebrate and showcase and recognize those who are already in the industry, aged 18 to 35, in an industry that is not very self-promoting, in an industry where people don't really blow their own trumpet. They're not really known for saying, hey, here I am, look at me. The stories that we've seen so far have been phenomenal. I had an email yesterday, some people who won awards last year writing to us, telling us that they've gotten promotions, that it's changed their lives. They've gotten new jobs. Their lives have been impacted just by being showcased and promoted in these awards, right? And so we want to see this happen en masse. Everyone connected and involved, getting new jobs, promotion opportunities, and then young people seeing this and going, actually, this is not bad. Let me consider this for my degree or for my A-levels or for a BTEC, a professional, a T-level qualification. Like, let me think about this, and hopefully, we're going to bless our city. Our city will be impacted by it because kids will go into jobs. I was on a site recently in the city here, and English was the third language. They were struggling to find people from the UK to take the jobs, right? So I'm believing that our city will be blessed by this. Our communities will be blessed. Young people will be blessed as a result of this project. And by the grace of God, we'll see this spread wider and wider across the country.
Okay. So firstly, I'll commend you on that. I think that's the best way to give hope. People don't always understand, like it's like holding a mirror up. Whenever you show a young person that this is like a future that is possible, you inspire more than, because they have gangs, they have groups, and they'll go back to their tribes and they become light. So I think well done on that. So 2 more things before I let you go. Erroll, you give me a summary of all your books. So so for all those books, so you tell us what the message is and why we should go pick it up. And so we'll start with the first one, postcode.
So here in the UK, the postcode represents a small location. And the globe, which is limitation, the globe represents possibility, no limitation. Anything's possible. And so postcode to the globe, I came across some young people many years ago who had never left Aston here. They'd never left their postcode. They'd not even gone to the city centre. And there's a bunch of reasons why. And so in this book, I aim to tackle all kinds of limitation that might prevent somebody from being the best version of themselves as a young person. It's aimed at young people or those that work with young people. Or I could tell you so many stories about this book, people coming up to me randomly, having the book in their bag and being like, I've just seen you, I can't believe it. I've been reading this book, it's changed my life. If you're a young person, a parent of a young person, or a practitioner working with young people, or you just want some inspiration for your life, get a copy of From the Postcode to the Globe. My second book is called Teenpreneur, How to Build a Business in Your Teens. Again, I was delivering some entrepreneurship workshops, and there was a 14-year-old girl in my workshop who came to me so passionate about starting a business. She had the desire, she had the right attitude, the right mindset, but not the right knowledge. And I wrote this book with her in mind from start to finish. I had a picture of this young 14-year-old teenager in mind. And I'm so glad that this book has been probably my most popular one, actually. All around the world, it's been translated into, I think it's Vietnamese. And the publisher contacted me to translate it to Vietnamese or something like that. And, all around the world, I've had basketball teams in America buy this book for every member of their basketball team and what have you, and just been so powerful. And then I wrote after that Teenpreneur 2. Teenpreneur 2 is a follow-up to the first version. This is all about sales and marketing. So you've got your idea now from the first book and you've got your business going. How do you market and sell your ideas? Teenpreneur 2. And then we have Set Free. Put those down there. Set Free is my first, if you like, just pure Christian book, if you like. This is aimed at those who may be struggling with any kind of habit or addiction or form of bondage and trying to find a way out, whether it's sexual in nature, whether it's drug related, whatever it might be. I believe in Set Free, you can find a way to break through. And then the last one is the
new one.
Yeah, this is I just recently edited this. It's a revised edition of the 5 core abilities of highly effective leaders. And this book I wrote because at a point in my journey, I had an inner conflict about how can you be successful as a Christian and be wealthy and rich even as a Christian? How do the two things go together?
Yeah.
And so my solution was to interview over 140 Christian leaders from around the world. I found them in a number of ways, and I contacted hundreds, about 400 maybe. I managed to get interviews with 140 of them on my podcast. You can find the podcast. It's called the Rising Generation Leadership Podcast. All the interviews are there. And I asked them a number of questions to identify how they did it. How have you become a household name in your industry? They were all international figures. How have you done it? Tell me. And from those interviews, I deduced that there were 5 things they all did really well. And I call those the 5 core abilities of highly effective leaders. And so I highly recommend this book. It's a great book. I love this book myself. There's so much wisdom in there for anyone who's trying to grow as a leader. The 5 core abilities. And they're all on Amazon.
Okay.
Or you can go to my website, www.errollawson.com, and find them all listed there as well.
Okay. So, it's not always fair to hold a very important person with their time. Time is very precious, and I understand I've dragged you out here this Saturday morning. So
glad to be here. It's my privilege to be here.
So in 60 seconds, you're speaking to somebody out there that wants to, that is new in the environment, that's listened to you, and you've seen what works, what could work, what could be your own message to anyone who needs to hear from a leadership influencer who understands how the system works, how the UK environment works. What's your own last take for them?
You know, I would really want you to message to understand that what you carry is powerful. That you are sitting on an acre of diamonds, somebody once said. I believe that. If you're coming into this country, do not underestimate the wealth of knowledge, of confidence, the experience, the skills that you have. Do not look down on yourself. If you look down on yourself in this environment or any environment, you will become your own worst enemy. Heaven is here or nowhere. It doesn't in fact matter where you go in the world. What you carry on the inside of you is powerful. It's powerful. Now, you know, when we get on the stage and we speak on a stage somewhere, we always say to people, when you go on that stage, don't tell people, oh, I'm nervous, or I'm here for the first time, or I'm so sorry, I'm a bit nervous. No, don't apologize. Don't be apologetic. Have boldness, have courage, and go straight in there. Be you. And the same principle applies to somebody coming into this territory. Don't be apologetic. Don't look down on yourself. Don't second guess yourself. Be bold, be confident, be courageous, and understand that what you have come through, the lessons you have learned in life, the principles you have adopted that have gotten you to where you are today, you can thrive in any environments. I believe that. And so it really is for me a mindset thing. It really is purely a mindset thing. I have a friend who's a multimillionaire Australian guy. Well, he literally came here from Australia with a suitcase and that was all he had. And he came and he's now a multimillionaire, right? He came with a suitcase and I think he had a bank card, a credit card, and he did what you're doing today. He went around and he found the people in that city of London who were the influencers, and he bought them a meal and had a chat with them and asked them questions. And he gathered information and found out what was happening in the city, in the environment. And because of his tenacity, his self-belief, his confidence, his boldness, he's a global household name in his industry. And so please do not make excuses. You can have excuses in life, or you blame my color, the way I speak, my religion.
Which is very easy to do.
Easy to do. My height, my weight, my gender, whatever, excuses in life, or you can have success in life, but you can't have both. Excuses or success, you choose.
Okay. So it's left for us to choose. So there's a question I normally ask my guests. Would you say you've broken your coconut?
Yeah.
Because this is yours. Every of my guests, I give them this coconut. So let me explain what it means, It's your coconut. You could do anything with it. You could break it. You could flip it.
Okay.
But coconut means several things. When we started the journey of breaking a coconut, the idea is that there's always a coconut to break.
Okay.
So, and when you break the coconut, the first thing that comes out is the water, right? After the water, you could crack it, eat it. Mm. So let me not talk too much. Erroll, have you broken your coconut?
What does a coconut represent?
Coconut represents anything that is a challenge in front of you. Any challenge, any goal, everything life throws at you that makes you become better. Would you say you've really overcome everything to finally become? Are you there at that point where God has called you and said, you've done everything God has told me, I've broken all my coconuts? Wow.
I think life is about breaking coconuts, right? I think there is so many to break, there's so many more to break. I like the analogy because, of course, when we break it, there's nourishment inside, there's food, there's life in the coconut, right?
Yeah.
And it's been willing to do the work to break the thing, right? Find the right tool.
Yeah.
Find the right strategy.
Yeah.
Find the right environment in which it can be broken best, and I'm still breaking them, bro. I'm still breaking them. I'm still breaking them. By the grace of God.
Okay. Since you're still breaking them, I'm giving you one more.
Thank you.
So thank you for your time, Erroll. Thank you for the wisdom you've shared.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming out to do this. I appreciate this, and I know everyone who has listened to this will be able to pick out one or two things. So, what's the best place to find you? Where can we find you and follow you?
Sure. Please check out me on LinkedIn. Eroll Lawson on LinkedIn is the best place to interact with me.
Perfect.
I'm also on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm also on Facebook as well. My website is www.errolllawson.com.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you
for having me.
Well, good. Hi, Andy.
Hey, man.
Finally, good to meet you.
Finally.
So this is Andy UK version.
Yes, sir.
So the last time we met prior to this was in Nigeria, and first of all, saying congratulations on all your milestones. Firstly, the one we can remember is being a councillor, the first generation councillor in Derby County, right?
Yeah, first African to be elected as a councillor in Derby.
So
Derby City Council, yeah.
So congrats on that. Then secondly, is congrats to, I heard your party are the ones in power. So it means that I can come close to the person in power. I'm closer to power.
I wish.
Good. So I'm saying this because our perspective of getting involved in service is always different from what it is in Africa.
Yeah.
So for you deciding to serve, coming as a councillor, and the last time I knew Nduka is like he's an ad man. Anytime you hear Abia, he carries it on his head. And he's a poet. So there's several versions of you that I hope we'll have time to talk about. But first of all, congrats on your milestone and good to have you here.
Thanks, man. Thank you. It's been quite a journey. It's been quite interesting. You know, as you mentioned, coming here and in under 3 years being elected as a councillor, being elected as the first African in Derby City Council, and you know, it's just been. Sometimes you want to pinch yourself and like, wow, you know, is this real? Yeah, you know, but it's been quite an interesting journey, and I'm glad I have the opportunity to serve.
How was it easy for the people to believe in you, to give you their trust, to lead them?
Yeah, it's more, you know, to serve them, you know, and that's also the contrast with maybe in Nigeria where we're coming from and here. Here you're putting forth your argument, you're putting forth your manifesto, people are scrutinizing your manifesto, and then they make the decision to either trust your party, because again, you need to remember, you know, we run the parliamentary system here. Yeah. So they make the decision to either trust your party, you know, with governance or not. And on this occasion, they did trust us because we campaigned on, you know, real issues that people could feel, tangible issues, and that really is how it should go. With you know how I don't know how I can't say I managed to convince them, but I think maybe someone saw something and said, well, you know what, we believe or trust this guy. In fact, there was this lady, one story I like to tell is this, you know, elderly white woman came up to me one day and said, you know what, I voted for you, but I don't know how to pronounce your name.
So why did she vote? She just believed.
So you see, what that for me was amazing. It was a lovely story to tell because she looked beyond whether this was the familiar.
Yes.
You know, whether it was the name or whether it was the face or whether it was my status, you know, my migrant status, yeah, or not. She looked beyond all that and said, you know what, I do think, you know, this guy has something to offer. You know, so when she said that to me, you know, it was quite heartwarming that at least the stories, despite our individual differences, yeah, once we agree on a vision for the future, you know, we can all work towards it.
How's the journey been like? So I'm saying, how's the journey been like? I want you to take me from living in Nigeria, coming in here, work, juggling work and also serving in that capacity. What's your journey been like? I'm looking at someone in any part of the world, looking at someone like you that have come here and the people have given you their own confidence to lead them. What's your story like? How was it easy for you to integrate, to serve and still work? Because I'm saying serve because I understand that being in power doesn't mean that you're in power. It means you're also serving and you're also working. How has it been like juggling family, juggling work, and making an impact in this part of the world?
So it's quite interesting, because everything is interwoven. So yes, I mean, I'm a councillor, I'm in politics, but I'm also an ad man. I'm in advertising, but I'm also a poet, spoken word poet, storyteller, filmmaker. We just shot, well, not just, but last year we shot our short film Adani, and that has been doing well, in the festivals. I say, but I mention all this to show how interwoven everything is. So let's start from Nigeria. People knew me for the first, say, 5-6 years that they got to know me as an ad person, and then suddenly somewhere down the line, and spoken word poet was like, how come? But what a lot of them don't understand is that poetry got me my first job in advertising.
Interesting.
Because I remember after NYSC or during NYSC, I was speaking to some guy. I was like, "Look, I studied history and international relations. I have no idea what I want to do." And he said, "Well, I've read a few of your poems. You write poetry, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." So he said, "Well, you might be suited for a role as a copywriter." And I was like, "What is that?" And he told me about advertising. So after immediately I got back from NYC, I went, I grew up in Aba, went to Aba, dropped my stuff, said goodbye. Next day or 2 days later, got on the bus to Lagos, went to Lagos, started knocking on doors, knocked on different agencies. I remember S1U, GWT, Insight, a whole load of them, until I think a lady by the name of Akbo got tired of me and said, "You know what, just come and sit down here, let's give you a test." They gave me a test. I wrote some poems. So like, you know what, there's something there. So poetry got me foot into the door, and I, of course, as people know, rose through the ranks, became creative director at 7 Interactive. But I didn't stop. Along the line, I didn't stop poetry. I was part of the ensemble that had Nigeria's first spoken word theater play. We toured Nigeria, toured Germany, came back. And I decided, let's put this into an album. So I had 2 albums. And then Nigeria started happening, as we say. Nigeria just started happening to everyone. And I think it was a trigger for a lot of people. 20th of November 2020. 20th of October 2020. And then we thought, you know what, this is it. And too old to get points for Canada. As everybody was doing.
Was going to.
So we thought, well, you know what, I'm a poet. There's a stream called, Global Talent. Why not apply with your poetry? And it was quite interesting because before then, when I say to my wife, I'm going to the studio, I'm going to, record my album, she would just be laughing like, "Look, is it this your age? At this your age, you want to become a rapper?" But again, it's, if you're a Christian and you also believe that God works, in the affairs of men, it's sort of like how God was just weaving, all the threads of those things. So it turned out that this thing that was a joke, some years ago, suddenly poetry suddenly became the thing that opened the doors for me. So now this was the second time poetry would be playing
a major role in your career.
A role, a major role in my life story. Got endorsed by the Art Council, got here as a spoken word poet. Now, of course, and I've worked with Derby Theatre, worked with Oxford University. Some of the events they've put up there, worked with Lydia Idakula's Tarua Africa Center, amazing lady, amazing company, and then but also still maintained my career in advertising, but all through this there was always something that was constantly pulling, and that was politics. In Nigeria since '99, I've voted in every single election apart from one.
Okay.
And if you make 2020, if you count 2023, apart from two. So, but again, I wasn't in Nigeria in 23. But, decided to join the Labour Party because, again, this was the party that aligned most with my ideology, my ideas, and just joined. And after a while, someone said to me, you know what, you could stand for council. I'm like, huh?
You just came into this.
Yeah, I just came here. I don't even have indefinite, leave to remain. And they're like, no, you're a Commonwealth citizen. You can. And so I stood, to be a councillor, and I'm here. But the thing is, through it all, the three constants have always been, poetry or advertising. But I'll say it's sort of like the storytelling, but always wanting to refine or redefine. How we tell our own stories as Nigerians, as Africans, as we know it, and politics.
So what you're saying is this, because it's good you had to tell this part clearly. If I'm a poet in Nigeria and and everybody's like, waiting poetry could do for you? Because I'm using that line because that's what it sounds like. And you're telling me now that, is this poetry? Yes, it's poetry that brought me to the UK. It's poetry. So that's what you're saying.
Look, so it's, yes, but the thing is that, it's quite pertinent that you ask this question, because the arts is criminally overlooked in Nigeria. The place of the arts. If you look at where Nigeria is in terms of our global soft power, is in the arts.
Yes.
It's in the music.
Yes, it's in the music.
Movies. It's in the movies. And whether you like it or not, laugh at it or not, but Nollywood has been a huge look. That I'm sat sometimes in salons if I go to London, I said maybe I want to touch up my locks or wherever I am. But I remember this because I've seen it so many times in London. I'm sat in a salon and they're watching Nollywood. In fact, they're watching what we now call as Nollywood. And I'm like, and these people are not Nigerians. These are Ugandans. These are.
You kidding me?
No, look, we do not understand, or rather, the Nigerian government does not understand the impact of our soft power. They do not understand it. I've been to at least 3 or 4 salons in London. I've never entered, apart from one. Which was a Jamaican place, and big up to they were playing their music, and because again they have very 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 significant power when it comes to storytelling. They have a huge influence, the Jamaicans and the rest of the Caribbeans, but Jamaicans especially. But in the other places which were owned and run by East or Southern Africans, there was always some Nigerian content going. So when people say, waiting poetry would do for me, what I would say is keep going. But on the flip side, that question should be directed at the government, because they have a huge, every time, they have a huge part to play. And every time you see people talk about youth empowerment, and the next thing that comes to their mind is led by football. It doesn't make sense.
True.
That you're focusing on just football. When you're talking about youth empowerment. We are a people of stories. We are a people of creative prowess. We should be supercharging our creative industry in Nigeria.
True.
And so for me, I'm an example that thing that was just passion. And interestingly, I know I know some. I know a good friend who's also, and because I don't know if you would want me to mention his name, I won't. But he's here because of his poetry. I know someone who's here because of his illustration. I know someone who's here because of her work in theater. Another person who is here because of his work in music. These are people who
are kings in their field.
Yeah, they are good, and in Nigeria, they would have had to just keep hitting on those. Sadly, you succeed in Nigeria through your sheer willpower.
Yeah.
Whereas here, there are structures.
Yeah.
There are, grants that can help you tap more into those, into your creativity and empower not just the entire community, just by your storytelling, but also create jobs.
Very important. So I think that answers more questions, because I am, and I'm sure this is the part of the story that everybody will like, that that say poets say I'll be poet and they do poetry. There is a hope in it. Now, what do you think has worked for you in this part of the world? What are those things you think now? You wear 3 hats, and I'll remind you of the hat. You wear the hat as a councillor for the people of Derby. You wear the hat as an ad man, and you wear the hat of a poet. And there's also one hat that I know you wear is the Abia hat. Wherever you go, you carry your state's Abia. Oh, I know you're a cultural person, and that's interesting, seeing someone that finally has several hats he's wearing, but is not as in. He doesn't see it as it's part of you, your identity, your ability to hold on to your identity in these things. How has it been for you? How is work like for you in this part of the world?
I know some people laugh when I say interesting, because I was just having a conversation with someone yesterday, and she said, you always use that word interesting because
it's a better way to
it's a better way to just summarize the complexity of thought. But what has been quite, I'll say here, there's again, as I mentioned before, there's a lot more structure.
Okay.
So you can break down what you do. In Nigeria, I was a copywriter.
Okay.
So that means a copywriter. But here, I speak to people and I'm like, oh, so what sort of copywriter are you? I'm like, what? I'm a copywriter. Like, no, do you do SEO? Do you write for healthcare? Do you write for this? Do you write for that? So you're not burdened with having to do everything. Here, you can actually specialize in some. So that is something that, one still has to relearn.
Okay.
And then, of course, the politics, it's there. As with everything, you learn on the job. You learn by following, by watching. But then there's also, again, that structure. So there are trainings that I'm asked to go on. There are trainings that are mandatory.
Okay.
For one to do. So there really is little or no excuse for not excelling at it. But which is also sadly quite different from where we're coming from.
Yeah.
In terms of what matters is more your loyalty to someone or to a group. What we always like to call cabal in Nigeria, when things get out of hand, you say, oh, it's not me, it's a cabal.
It's a cabal.
But more than what it is you can bring, here I've and it's not to say, don't get it twisted, it's not to say that loyalty does not, it plays a huge part. We like to say in Nigeria that, things are all about who you know, my brother. Here, even more than Nigeria, I am is a thing. But you see that this place benefits from the concept of a lot more structure, and and this also goes into poetry as well, where you have grants. There are grants available for people to just sit down and create.
Okay.
So you get grants to help you pay your bill, to help you do other stuff you'd have been thinking of trying to hustle for.
Yeah.
They say, you know what, your job is to create. So just sit here for the next 3-4 months or whatever. Create and take this money to help you sort out those daily needs. Because at the end of the day, what you're interested in is your output.
Yes.
And how they can help you develop it, and at the end of the day also grow from it. And then lastly, to Abia, there are two parts to it. One, I'm an Abia man.
Yeah.
In there's a joke that in every aspect of our life, we are Abia first before you are even a Christian or whatever it is. But it's something I love about that culture. That there's always, at every point in your life, you're always reminded, this is who you are, this is what we do, this is why we do it. And there are support systems. So no matter where you are, I think we spoke 2 or 3 months ago, and I was here I was in Birmingham for an Aruba meeting.
Okay.
And when you get to any place, people are always going to tell you, oh, well, this is the ACI, that's Aruba Communal Improvement Union. That's where we are. If you don't look for us, we'll come and look for you.
You can't even run away from
You can't run away. So that, and then it all ties back to Aruba itself. So everybody knows where you're. So and it's so that you could get lost. If you need help, if you need support, there's always somebody there. If anything happens, you can rally from Abia. So there's that. But then the other part of Abia that's always been heavy on I've always carried it is the political development of Abia as a state. I'm extremely happy now that we have Governor Alex Oti, which after 24 years of people just being locusts in the state, finally we have someone. And
it gives hope.
It gives hope.
Yeah.
But for me, a huge sense of pride comes from the fact that I worked for his campaign in 2015 and 2019.
I can imagine how you feel doing it twice, and you're like, now I've left. So I was like, you're like, why didn't this happen when I was here?
Look, I've thought of that. I'm like, my goodness, I could have, there
would have been no need for you to leave. No, that's real.
Yeah,
there would have been no need for you to leave,
because I know I would have just been back in Abia, playing that part. Because one, Alex Oti is someone who you can talk to any time of the day. He values constructive conversations.
Okay.
And he's not the one that would say, well, I'm the governor. No, let's talk. Give me, and this is evident from, the first time I met him and I got introduced to him. I was like, you know what? There's this issue around, because again, when you come to identity politics in Abia or in Nigeria, they're like, oh, are you an Ngwa man or are you an Arochukwu man? And people because we always want to say, look, the governorship should be rotational.
Yeah.
And he had that problem of having a foot in each of these places. And so that if he comes out to say, I'm from Arochukwu, other people say, well, you're not Ngwa, sorry. You're not Ngwa, so we cannot support you because it's not your turn. But if he comes out to say, I'm Ngwa, Arochukwu people say, well, you're not from Abia North, so we cannot support you because it's not your turn. So I said, you know what, why don't we reframe the narrative as, let's put Abia first. It doesn't matter where I'm from or where the person is. As long as Abia is first, then that should be our focus. And he bought into it. It became his advertising campaign. It became his political platform, both in 2015, 2019. And he won those elections. That I know. So I could tell you stories of what happened online. And there was a time someone came to me and said, Nduka, they're looking for you. You go and hide.
Yeah. Because you're the face of the election behind the scene.
No, not necessarily because, well, at least in Abriba, I carried it on my head and a few of us. But someone just came to me and said, look, we've just been in a meeting and they said, look, if you find this in the way, so just go and sit down. And it was in 2019 that I realized that when they tear gas you, you should wash your face with Coke.
Oh, you experienced it?
Oh yeah, look, it's you know, but no, but back to. I'm glad to see now that there's a government that is working and that people are actually getting behind because they can see.
Yeah.
So he's not governing by propaganda, you know, and these for me are things that give me hope.
Yeah. That can be done.
That can be done.
Because I think what we always lacked is seeing somebody in front that can do it. So we keep believing that this thing is a big deal. Once someone has done it, because I keep saying the moment we have, so for you, for instance, the fact that you've, and I'm asking this question, someone is like, how long did it take you to become a councillor here?
I say about 2.5 years.
Strange. So you see, and someone is like, maybe you have to come and do everything, and you're saying, I came in, and the people liked me, and so it's like it's always strange until we hear it from the right people that this thing is possible, and that's why the narrative is like, let's have more people, let's have the right people do the right thing, so that we keep giving hope and not make people believe that when they keep telling us the leaders of tomorrow. Oh, you look back, there's no. That leaders of tomorrow looks like a mirage.
Tomorrow never comes.
It never comes. So now, so I don't take much of your time. What would you say for you? What advice would you give to anyone that is coming into this town that's decided to leave his own? In Nigeria, we call it japa. And what's that advice coming from you that you've seen? Because the good thing about being a councillor and representing the minority in quotes and people looking at you as somebody they run to, you would have heard more people coming to give their own complaints. What do you think is that thing that anyone coming in should be aware of, should do, and what works in this part of the world for them to try?
No, so before I answer that, what you've said, I want to touch on what you've said, and that's the thing of, you do it and then suddenly more people want to. Yeah. It's very true. Since I became a councillor, I've seen an uptick in people registering to be members of political parties, member of Labour Party, and also people saying to me, look, I want to be a councillor, and always just say, or I want to get involved. I said, look, you know what, go, register, go to your ward meetings, make sure you're there, just play your part. But your question about what people, the advice I would give to anyone that is thinking of Jackman, look, forget everything you know. Forget everything. Moving here is you must be prepared to unlearn, not even relearn, unlearn and learn anew, because the processes are different. The structure is different. The opportunities are different. The culture is different. So if you come in with that bullish Niger attitude that, you know what, if I just go, rough up, the system will rough you. So
the system will rough you.
So you need to sort of like take a step back and just unlearn everything you've learned. Humble yourself, because this system will humble you. So put it at the back of your mind that, you know what, some nights maybe you will just go sit down one place off light, just think, see, maybe this. Because, but it's not from a bad place, but it's just that because we have two separate ways of working, two separate ways of doing things, you can't let your bias stop you from tapping into the opportunities that are here. Yeah. So that's why you need to just let go of I be big boy, let go of Oga, who I be.
Yeah.
Let go of,
because that's what we're always known for. Do you know who I am? Do you really know who I am?
So you come here, you're here with your family, and suddenly you realize that you're waking up and taking care of you're getting them ready for school, you are cooking, you're washing, you like, who me? A whole me. Let them now know that I did wash plate for kitchen, my brother. If you don't do it,
Who will do it?
If you don't work with your spouse to, if you're here as a family, to get everything ready, there's no house help. Well, I mean, you can, but your money reach them.
Yeah.
You know, so it's those little things. It's those things like a meeting is for 2. It's not 2:05. In fact, if it's 2, that means
It's 1:45.
It's 1:45.
Technically.
You know, it's just those little things that if we adjust, you know, to it. And then I think the last thing is you can't hammer in 1 year.
So for most of our listeners, when we say hammer, what we mean is you can't have that breakthrough. You can't have that jackpot. That jackpot.
You can have the breakthrough in 2 months.
Yeah,
you can have it in
perfect.
1 week, but you can't have that windfall.
Yeah, that happens immediately
in 1 year, because again, there are systems. Sadly, we don't get them
back home
like that, you know. For that, so you can just wake up one day and then someone signs something and you don't hammer. Here, there are, you know, so
you can't hammer. Like, it's even risky for you to hammer like that, because we're asking, how would you pay your tax? Where is it coming from? That's about questions you have to ask. Yeah,
you know. So so we need to learn to build systems, but also we need to learn to build community.
Okay, I think that's even key,
because you look at other people that have been here. You look at the Indian community, the Pakistani community.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they are fruitful. Let me put it that way. There's a reason why you see them thriving. It's because there's that sense of communal effort.
Okay.
One of the biggest issues we have is our individualism.
Yeah.
It's a strength when you're back home and you notice that, look, the government is not going to do anything for you. So
you're your government.
You're your own government.
You're your water, you're your light, you're everything. Yeah, true.
You know, and all you need to do is maybe just know one person and you don't hammer. But here, there's strength in community. And as long as every person walks their individual paths, we will never, ever be able to thrive as other communities that came to this country at about the same time we did.
That's deep, because at the end of the day, we run away from, most of the conversation is that people run away from people like them, because the idea is, if you've left your part of the world to come here, of what need is it coming to cluster with people like you? But you'll see, maybe that's what works.
No, but see, look, and I understand. I was having a conversation with some people the other day, and I said to them, look, being Nigerian is traumatic. You know, I remember the first few times a few times I've seen armed police in some certain places.
Yeah.
I just sort of like had some sort of like crazy flashback, and I had to walk myself through, like, no, these guys are calm, just
it's not where you're coming from. Yeah.
Let's be honest, being Nigerian is a traumatic experience. So I understand when people come here like, you know what, I don't want to see I don't want to go to and closer with Nigerians and whatever, and that is because sadly we've been conditioned to not trust ourselves, to not trust each other. We've been conditioned that, somebody is always out to get you. And so we find it hard to work together.
Yeah.
But then there is where the unlearning thing happens. Because when you come here, you see someone from a community that comes to maybe fix something in your house.
Yeah.
The people that are helping him are from his own community. The person doing his accounting is from that community. The person working on his car is from that community. The money stays
in the system
within that community.
Circle. Yeah. Sure.
And if you look at stats of different communities and how much, I was watching a documentary, I don't remember the name now, by Killer Mike.
Okay.
And like in America, there was they looked at the Asian community, the Jewish community, the white community, and the black community, and checked how much or how long money circulates within each community before they leave, they move out. So for like the Jewish, Asian community, had things like maybe 21 days or thereabout, high digits.
Yeah.
But then it got to the black community, and take a guess how many days money stays in the black community before it moves out?
48 hours.
6 hours.
Jeez, I was generous. Jeez.
So when you don't control
true.
You don't control your means, we're the biggest consumers.
That's another part.
We're the biggest consumers. Sometime last year, someone called me in Derby and was like, why don't you guys have, why is there no like African Community Association or something in Derby? Because I know you guys, everybody wants to come in, buy big cars, and I had to sit there and listen to this, and be humble about the fact that this guy was telling me the truth.
The truth.
We're consumers. We're buying designer clothes. We're buying big cars. We're throwing big lavish parties, but we don't own property. We don't own businesses. And when I say not as if there's none, but there's no system where you can say this money, this £1 will circulate in this community for at least 5 days before it leaves.
Which is smart, and I don't need anyone to tell me that the Jewish, they don't joke with it. The Jews and the Asians don't joke with so
because you need to, and this is not even so much about your faith or religion or whatever it is. It's the fact that if you want your community to thrive, then you need to control your economic destiny.
True.
And if then that gives you political influence. And political influence in turn gives you more economic power. So they work together.
Yeah.
One thing that will never work for the community is that rugged individualism.
True. Thanks, Andy. I think that's food for thought. So finally, what are your best moments in the UK traveling? Best moments that you see, that you look at your happy moments.
I think it will be, and no matter how much I do love work, I do love what I do, but sometimes when I just traveling and you're out with the family, that works.
So that's like priority to you. Okay, Andy. So this is a coconut.
Yeah, man.
This is for you.
Thanks.
And whatever you want to do with it. But let me ask you: have you really broken your coconut?
I know that you've entered the talk of the elders, so please break it down for a layman like me. When you say have I broken my coconut, what does that mean?
So have you done that thing that you think you were called for? Have you done that thing that you feel, I've done it, I'm here, I've beat my odds, I'm in it, I can't go back, nothing can happen again? Have you beat all your odds that's in front of you?
No, I don't think. I don't think it's possible. But then, being the restless soul that I am,
okay,
I know that once I break one, I'm like, oh, you know what? So that was one level. So I'd rather look at it as I've broken this odds or whatever. I'm like, okay, I've just finished one level, on to the next one.
Okay.
So I think I'm too restless to say, well, you know what? This is it. At least yet. At least not yet, yeah.
Fair. So take this, keep breaking.
Will do. Thanks, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andy, for having you, man.
Thanks, Charles.
Good to do this. Hi, Dekumzy.
Hi, Charles.
Good to finally meet you, man.
Too bad.
So everybody I know that figured out I was in this part of the world where you are have asked me to find you and let you tell your story.
Okay.
So firstly, welcome Dekumzy. Welcome to doing this. Welcome to the BTC show. So most of us that have not heard so much, someone that doesn't understand what this is all about. Dekumzy is one of Nigeria's top producers that done. He's that guy that is like the OG behind the OG. The producer has done most of the songs that you have always wondered who made them. You made beautiful hits. So first of all, let me let you introduce yourself and all the big hits you made behind the scene. And I want to know 3 things in this conversation: your journey in the music business, how you found music, how you found producing, how you were able to create a life around your passion, and how it opened doors for you in the city of Enugu. You started your life with it, and how that singular thing that was that passion project that everybody felt was passion helped you create big brands. I think from the one I can remember, I know you produced Resonance.
Yeah.
I know you produced Bracket.
Yeah.
I know you produced Desperate Chicks. So someone asked him to tell us about Desperate Chicks. What happened to Desperate Chicks? So the idea is, I'm looking at the ability to use that ordinary passion to create memories in people's life, and it's like a life for you. So I'm speaking too much. Dekumzy.
Okay, thank you. My name is Derek Osonwa,
Perfect.
aka Dekumzy. It's all about choice, yeah.
It's all about choice, yeah.
So my music journey it started, I think, in 2000.
Okay.
In 2000, when I finished secondary school, I used to be a very bad boy, troublesome person.
Okay.
And then one day we had a problem in school. We had this fight with the junior set. It was a military school, so the military people, they were not having it.
Okay.
So they came after us. Everybody was running.
Okay.
So I ran into a place called Zoo.
Okay.
Now it's Zoo Estate in Enugu, but then it was a zoo.
Okay. Wait, that zoo really existed?
Yeah, the zoo. Yeah, there were animals there. I ran into that place. We had a way of going in without paying tickets. There's a way we just sneak in.
Okay.
So that was the way I took. When I got in there, I was hiding from the military guys that were after me.
Okay.
Then I heard, where I was hiding, I heard sounds, people singing and playing, and I just went to the sound, and it was Feka.
Okay.
And then I saw my elder brother there. I was like, what are you guys doing here? They said they were having picnic.
Okay.
I wasn't interested in their food or anything, though I love food, but I was more interested in the person playing the piano.
Okay.
Then I now decided, this thing, I like this sound. I must continue playing it. Okay. Now, that's how my music journey started. I started playing piano in Feka from 2001.
Feka is an association, is a group in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, yeah. I think, we're also in UK here, everywhere now. Okay. We're global. So
no, I wanted you to say that yourself.
Yeah, we're global, yeah.
Yeah.
So I played keyboard for them for, I think 4 or 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, then in 2006, I got into the studio.
Okay.
To start becoming a producer. So that same year, 2006 ending, I met Resonance. That's when they came to me first, and they wanted to make their album.
Okay.
So we sat down, talked about everything, made changes and everything, and then we came up with a masterpiece.
Of the era.
Yeah, masterpiece, Chimike. A lot of you might know the song. Onye Serena, Ogaye Chetage. Yeah, we made masterpiece, Holy Ghost Fire. I was the devil in the Judgment Day.
Okay, yes, I remember that video.
Who's there? Come follow me and I'll blow it to another level. Yeah, I was the devil.
Okay.
That was my first time rapping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I did the chorus of With the Holy Ghost Fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that.
Those recording that album started my journey.
Okay.
The two of them. After their album, I think we started doing Niggero's album then.
Okay.
Obodo Deliwono, that was when we started recording it.
Interesting. You recorded that album?
Yeah, I recorded it, but Clint produced the song.
Playing the drum.
Yeah, we had Clint, we had Flavor, we had a lot of producers coming to work on Niggero's album then.
Okay.
And we made those albums, and we were making hits then.
No, Enugu was, I think that was the era of Cosmo FM.
Era of Cosmo, Cosmo FM, big up Cosmo.
I used to listen to Cosmo FM. I was in the East that time, and there was no song that we didn't know. Kotsi, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, Cosmo did a lot for us. And we made songs, we made hits then. Songs were coming out. We had DJs playing our songs, DJs from all over. But Cosmo FM really made things happen for us. After Resonance and Eroll, the album was going well. They were going for their shows and everything. That's when Bracket came up to me.
Oh, okay.
And they wanted to do their album, and it was their first album, and we started working on it. Then there used to be 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, there used to be 3 of them, and we did the album I Choro Happy Day. I Choro Happy Day. That was the first album we produced.
Yeah.
And after we did that album, things started progressing. Now, after Resonance album, people, because before Resonance, someone had already dead me. Then we already had this thing in Enugu. The only songs that reign is Ariara.
Okay.
Anything gospel music has to be Ariara.
Okay.
That was the only thing when it has to do with gospel is Ariara.
Okay.
So someone said I cannot make a hip hop of gospel that will sell. So Chimike was that thing that broke it. And the person was like, oh. And someone else now said women don't sell. That can't make women sell in Nigeria.
Okay.
I'm like, really? Okay, I'll try it.
Okay.
And then the idea of Desperate Chicks came up. These girls, they don't know each other. They were not friends. They were not a group. They were the individual artists on their own.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So when we had Desperate Chicks, we used to think they were a group of people that were there.
No, I was the one desperate, not them.
Oh, you were desperate.
I was
You were
the desperate. They
chicks.
were the chicks. I was the desperate one to make a hit.
Okay.
So I brought them together.
I love that.
They were not desperate. I was desperate. We brought them together. Originally, there were 4 of them.
Oh, okay.
One left. One couldn't continue. So the other 3, Barbie, Stormrex, and Osla, they continued.
Okay.
And then we made. I think we kept on recording for over more than 6 months. We kept recording different songs and everything till we got the album, Obomekwe and everything.
Okay.
And at the time when I wanted to release the album, there was no money.
Oh, really?
No money, no platform. All I had was a name that was my name, but it wasn't
Dekumzy.
that big yet.
Okay.
So I needed something that would bring me out. So I had to sign in with a different record label that had money. Okay, the record label will bring me out, so I could use whatever I get from it to push them out.
Okay.
Then I did an album and did my first song with them. Then there was an issue.
Okay.
One of the songs had issues then, and it was a song I already did, but it was already given to the movie soundtrack people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, and I didn't know the laws behind it then. The song was already sold, and it's a movie soundtrack. I couldn't release it then. I didn't know that.
Okay.
It was the popular song, You Are the Treasure That I Seek.
Oh, really? Nice.
But it wasn't that my first album. So my marketer got really angry for me giving him a copyright song that doesn't belong to me anymore.
Yeah.
And said, you have to make another song for me. Make me a hit song, otherwise there's going to be war.
A marketer has decided who was in business.
The marketers, if they say you're not going nowhere, you're not going nowhere. So I had songs in my album. So I was thinking, oh, which song do I change? And then Who Get That Thing was the only song that was standing out. I had to do a remix of it.
Oh, okay.
So I now brought in Slow Dog and Stormrex.
Okay.
Now, the reason why the entire Desperate Chicks they were not in was because we recorded that song on 25th December. All of them had gone back for Christmas. It was only Stormrex and Slow Dog that were around that morning. And they were going to go to their villa. So we had to record that song as fast as possible. And then they left. Okay. And then I mixed the song. By January, the song came out and it was like boom everywhere. They were like boom. The song, it was like a viral song, took over everywhere. Now, what people didn't know is, yes, these songs were out, but I wasn't making money from the song. That's the truth. I wasn't making
That's
money.
always the story.
I was making nothing, not a dime from the song.
Why?
Because the marketer owns the rights.
Wait, you sold everything to the marketer?
Yeah, it was complicated because I'd already sold my first album.
Okay.
That album that had the other Who Get That Thing, not this one.
Yeah.
But because of the complication of the treasure, You Are the Treasure that was in that album, and the copyright thing, my marketer had to make me sign the copyright of the new one and everything I have to do to him. Otherwise, we'll go to court and go to all the whole trouble and everything.
And to you at that point in time, you were the magician. You were like, I could do this thing.
I could do this thing, yeah. It's something I could create. It's in my head and my hands. And honestly, I had no money. I only had a name.
Okay.
You can't fight. You have a name, but you can't fight a man who has money and has people are behind him. You can't fight it. So I said, it's something I could give away. Now, I didn't understand the implication of what I was giving away. Now, to me, I'm giving away song. No, is it not song? Just let's do it and go. But I didn't understand that what I'm giving away could make someone rich. That part I didn't know. So I just signed everything and did the album, and then it came out and boom, the album was moving. Songs were everywhere. Bracket came back. Everybody was. It was Dekumzy. My phone was buzzing up and down. I was going. It was mad. It was a madhouse. And then we did Yori Yori. That's when we did Yori Yori album.
Oh, you produced your
Yeah, produced Yori.
Dekumzy, what didn't you produce?
It was crazy, massive that period. We did Yori Yori album. That one was like national anthem across the. It wasn't just Nigeria, across Africa, Europe, places. The song became big. Erroll came back with his own album, Strong and Mighty.
Yeah.
I'm in love with an angel. We started running it. We did everything. Then I was, how do I say it? You say I was blessed.
Yes.
I was gifted then.
You're still blessed.
I was gifted then. But in all these things back then, I didn't understand the implication of things I was giving away. I was just giving away my gifts for free.
Wait, let's go back. Now, for most of everything, you gave both the copyright.
Yeah. That's the thing. These guys,
You exchanged it for money.
yeah, for money. For how much? Peanuts. That's the thing.
Because at that point in time, it was like,
Yeah.
just a song.
They just paid for studio time and paid production. We just go.
Then they had to own the
They
copyright.
had to own it.
They were the smarter ones.
Yeah. I was the fool. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just a young guy who just got into the thing. I loved what I was doing. So I started doing it. I was just producing, making. So I was just giving out as they come, as they go. I just freely I give unto you, freely I give you. But I didn't understand that part. It's like, I'm not Jesus. God said he's the one that gives freely. But he gave me to make money and I was just giving out. Now I understand, but it's all good. Then I did what was that album again? After Negro, there was another album. We did Yori Remix with Two-Face.
Oh, really?
We did Remix with Two-Face. Then I had already moved to Abuja. I got married, moved to Abuja, then started working with Charlie Boy and did Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Carolina for Dr. Alban.
Okay.
We did in Sweden.
Wait, you did everything, the Dekumzy.
I did everything I could do in movies and music thing. I had my time and I enjoyed it. I made my hits. I produced. My father always say, anything you're doing, if you're not coming out the best in it, just leave it and go. Just know it's not for you. If you're not coming out one of the best, just go away. And in the music, I was coming out one of the best. And when I felt it was becoming boring for me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was becoming boring because, you know, when you're just doing something and it looks like you're doing the same thing all over, you just want to keep making music and it's not like you're moving to the next level. For me, I've seen that level.
Okay.
So what I can't do anymore is to go stay in the same place and be running around.
Okay.
It's the worst thing that can happen to a man. You become a king here and you just stay there.
That's cycle.
Yeah, weather's change, time change, and if they're changing, you will be diminishing no matter how much you try to hold on to that power.
Yeah.
Someone else will come and take the power. So I needed to find something else.
Okay.
And then I remember the first thing that actually got me into the wahala was movie soundtrack. I like, I'm going back here.
Okay.
And that's how I went back to movie soundtracks.
Okay.
And then I left the music production thing behind and started doing movie soundtracks more. Started learning it, started doing it. I started doing top movies, crazy ass big movies. For movie soundtrack, I started scoring movies and things are working. But before I get into movie soundtrack, let me backtrack a little. A lot of people are trying to know what happened to Desperate Chicks.
Good question. Good question.
Now, Desperate Chicks is a project. How do I put it? It was a project that was, it was an agreed project that's supposed to last for just 1 year.
Who agreed? You know, you said you were the desperate one. They were the chicks.
Yes. I brought girls together and said, hey, come, you are individual artists.
Yeah.
Why not come together? Let's do something that will let's make a hit.
Okay.
For 1 year, one album, 1 year, and everybody makes a name, and then you're on your own.
Okay, that was the idea.
That was the idea of Desperate Chicks. It was never to a group to stay and continue as a group. It's just come together, let's make an album, make one hit, and then we all go away because someone said female can't sell.
So it was someone daring you.
Yeah, someone daring me, and I'm like, okay, let me do this. And already I've seen that it's worked somewhere in the world. Destiny Child, they did it.
Okay.
So why can't I do the same thing here? And in Abuja then, Star Plus, they were doing it, but they were the male version.
Okay.
So I needed the female version.
Okay, now I get it.
So I needed the female version. So we made this group. So we had Storm Rex, Barbie, and Osla.
Okay.
Immediately after the album, everybody went their way. But the thing is, there were now, how do I put it, complications because of relationship wahala inside. I'm not going to talk about it here. But because of some relationship, emotional wahala that came in, it changed some things. It unbalanced a lot of things. Okay. My mistake, my fault. Okay. Yeah, but it made the whole thing complicated. Okay. But the agreement was 1 year and everybody is, go your way. And after 1 year, Storm Rex made a name for herself and she can continue moving. Okay. Barbie, she couldn't continue music again because she's a lawyer. Oh, okay. She's a full-time barrister. I don't think they wear white on their hair and be singing.
No, it depends. As in, you could always do two.
Yeah. I don't think it was working in Nigeria back then. Maybe now it could work, but back then it wasn't like that. Okay. And then I got married to Osla. Interesting. Yeah. And we started raising up our family and building it. Yeah. Storm Rex is somewhere in America now, still doing her music. And I'm happy I created something that moved. In that album, Desperate Chicks, we had Fino in it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we had Fino on that album. In the Obomekwe remix, Fino was on it.
He was quiet.
That's because nobody knew him back then. But Fino was there.
Okay.
Fino was a producer back then. All of us, we were all together. Fino was a producer back then. He was on that album. Okay. Now Fino is big, very big, like very big.
True.
Yeah. I produced some songs for Flavor, like Baby Oko, the slow version.
Yeah, okay.
Baby Oko, baby you too hot, oh, Baby Oko.
Those were Flavor's kinds of songs.
Yeah. So we've had these productions, and in this journey, I understood that it's not just producing and making sounds and doing something. You need to cover yourself. Okay. And prepare for your future, but I wasn't doing that. I was just living for today, and I move for tomorrow, then forget about it. Just do what we can do now and keep going. I wasn't thinking about the business side of it.
Which happens most times when you're very passionate.
Yes. But that's a bad thing for some people. Yeah. Because there's a lot of artists back there in Nigeria that made hits then, but they're broke now.
What do you think happened? What was it like for them? Because the reason why we're having this conversation, apart from every other thing, is that you're like the magician. You're like when I asked you, like, Charles, I can create hits. As in you know it, like you know your name. Yeah. Not everybody can boast of this. It's a gift and you know. Now, but what do you think happened? Or what do you think, how do you think this could, next generation, how can we manage something like this?
If you're going to make a sound with somebody, for someone, or produce somebody, or write, or anything, have a long-term agreement with the person. Because whatever you're throwing out there, you don't know how far that thing could go. Now, it's been how many years ago? Who get that thing was 2007. How many years ago, and years later now, it's trending everywhere, and people...
No, TikTok remembered you. In 2024, they remembered you.
Now, imagine if I owned the copyright of that song online.
Wait, who owns the copyright of that song?
The marketer. But now, the crazy thing is it's possible that the marketer doesn't even own the copyright of the song online.
Very possible.
Someone else is eating this money somewhere.
Very possible.
And truthfully, I'm not going to fight it. I don't care.
Because you didn't know.
Yeah, because I didn't know. I don't know. I don't want to know. Okay. He's taking it. If someone else was taking it from him, fine. We're all sharing it. We're all sharing it. We all make the same mistake. We're all making it. We're making the same thing. So the song is trending now. Good. I'm happy it's trending. Yes, it shows, yes, I did something that had quality back then. Yeah. And I'm happy, yes, it's helping other people come out. Storm Rex and Slow Dog, they are being remembered again.
Yeah, because they made good hits.
Yeah, they made good hits back then. And I'm happy about that. That's what I enjoy doing. Like, I'll give you an instance now. If someone like, I think 4 years ago or 3 years ago, if someone like Davido would come to me and say, hey, produce my song, I wouldn't know what to do for Davido. Because he's already a star. I wouldn't know what to do for him.
Because he's in the spotlight.
Yes, so I wouldn't know what exactly can I do for you that is different. You're already a brand, you're a star.
Yeah.
I can't make a star shine brighter.
Yeah.
But I can only make someone who is not a star to shine. I can only put fire on someone who is just starting. Because then I will know where to put my passion, where to put my head, the direction to go. But for someone like Davido, I'm not making any impact.
That's what you think.
That has been my mindset. And that's why I had never produced any top artists. If you notice, once they become big, I stay away from them.
Wait, that's interesting. So does this mean that no, but that's a good conversation. So that means you've concluded that your gifting is to mix stars. Because you told me I can mix stars from anybody.
That part I've always known, that I can help someone to shine. Okay. But the part I don't know how to do, I've not discovered it, is to make a star that is something that's shining to shine brighter. Okay. But I know it's something that's shining, you can add more light to it by bringing other lights, which means I have to bring other people to suck from them and make this one shine brighter. Yeah. To me, it doesn't make sense. I want to help you shine, not to make someone who's already shining. Damn, you're shining. What do you want from me? That's being greedy. You're shining. Get the hell out of the way. Let others come out and shine. That's been my belief and my own. That's my opinion. Though, don't follow my own. Do yours. I get that part. That's been me. That's why if you see the people I work with, they were never stars. They were all upcoming. At that time. Yeah. None of them were stars. Resonance, Mr. Erroll, Desperate Chicks, Slow Dog, Flavor, all of them were all upcoming.
But looking back now, is this something you could, because at the end of the day, Dekumzy, it's scary when you tell me most of the songs are gone.
It's great. People think I actually I'm making serious money from all those music. I didn't make money from those music. I made money from somewhere else because of the name I made. The name helped me get money from other things. Oh, you're Dekumzy. Okay, come here. I have this project. Wow, we're paying you this. We do this, and I deliver. But those ones, nah. Because they were upcoming, it's not in my mind to do business with them. The only thing in my mind is to help them, let them become big. That's the only thing in my head. Because I've seen people write to me and say, hey, go back and produce Bracket. And Bracket are shining. What else am I going to do for them that I've not already done?
But you're the one that had the magic wand.
Yeah, they're already shining. What else can I do? Put more fire there. I will burn their hairs down. I don't want to burn people down.
No, but it's good we're having this conversation. This is what now we're talking. This is what I think. I think the good thing about this conversation for me is that it's also helping me see you're self-aware, as in most people don't know what they can do, and you're self-aware that this is what you can do. In this second, now we've seen that this is what your magic is. Aren't we looking at the possibility of saying, okay, now I understand that I know how to make ordinary stars shine. And for crying out loud, what if I was one of the stars you made shine? Who are you leaving me to manage? Because we all need, this thing is a continuous journey. I feel we need people like you to, I'm not saying bet more stars. I feel there's a next level to this gift. Now, I'm surprised I'm hearing that most of the hit songs are not going in your name, because I know for 2024, for instance, we had most of your songs playing, and I was like, it's like they woke up and remembered you. Yeah. They woke up and remembered you. But for someone that has a gift like you have, how do you think if you were going to do this thing over again?
Okay, like since I've been here in the UK, I've been studying management.
Perfect.
Now, what I didn't have then was management.
Perfect.
Now, I could make stars, but I can't manage it.
Perfect.
So if I make you a star and I can't manage it, I'm going to just destroy it.
Yes.
So it's easier for me to let it go, let it manage itself, or someone else manage it, let it flow. Because if I manage it, there's a possibility I will try to control it.
And that's what you don't want to do.
Yes, and if I try to control it, I'm not perfect. I'm going to mess it up.
That's being aware that
Yeah.
that's what will happen. Yeah.
So now I've learned management. If I'm making somebody a star, or I'm going to work with somebody, I know what to do, where to go, where to put my leg, and what to do, how to manage the entire thing, and we move together.
Okay.
But then I didn't have that. That then was just do and go, do and go. But now I can manage what I'm doing.
Okay. So now you understand that was what was missing.
Yes, sir. That was what was missing in me then. Management. I had no management. And a lot of artists in Nigeria and producers, they had no management.
And money without management is
Yeah, a lot of them had no management, and that thing messed them up.
What do you think was your biggest experience? What did music do for you? Producing?
Freedom. Freedom. See, how do I put it? I'm a person that, I'm a very shy person, one, and I live in pain.
Okay.
Like, I live in pain. All my life it's been like you enjoy maybe 3 months of almost happiness and pain. One problem, pain keeps coming, and I'm used to pain.
Okay.
So when bad things happens to me, I just say, okay, it's part of it. We just keep going.
Okay.
It's part of the pain. I just enjoy. I'm used to it now. I kind of enjoy pain.
Okay.
But since I've been here, I've seen more pain here too. I'm not gonna lie. UK here, there's the pain here. This one is not physical pain, it's mental pain. I've seen it.
Okay.
But now I'm gradually overcoming it.
Okay.
And I know I'll meet more pain in the future.
Okay.
And all those painful moments is what led me here. Okay. If not, the pain I went through in UK, people would have been calling me one psychiatrist home. I would have gone crazy. Okay. But it helped me manage this pain and understand management and manage my life to this level.
That's what music did for you?
Yeah. Music was a way of my escape route for pain and all the wahala. I could sit down for hours in the studio just making sounds that would never be released.
And what happens to them?
I'll just do it. After doing it, I'll delete it. And I'll start all over. Like Chinwike album, I did it twice.
So now, wait, how do you know hits? Because I'm concerned about, there's a young guy that maybe has your kind of gift, but that is restless, that maybe doesn't take this thing for granted, that takes this thing for granted. But what was it like for you? Yeah.
How do I know hit? When I hear a sound or a song, I look for four things or few things in it. Let me not say four, but few things. One is the bait,
Okay.
the hook,
Okay.
and then the story behind it.
How did you know Chinwike album was going to be it?
One, the lady is a white lady speaking in Igbo. That's a bait.
And you knew the audience.
They do. The Nigerian out there, they like when Onyocha na Igbo. They enjoy it. They will come for it. They will come and listen. That's the bait. It's going to bait everybody there. So now what I need is a hook that will keep them, and it cannot be a hook in English because Onyocha na Igbo. Okay. So I told her, look for that hook, and the minute she got it, Onye Sere na.
No. That hook was.
It will hook everybody, and once it hooks you, wow, then you are listening to the entire song.
Okay.
And this is how I've been working all the songs. Every song must have a bait, a hook, and the story.
So, you said you created Resonance in 2 days.
The two albums, that album, I did it twice.
Okay.
Like I did it the first time, and then came back. Something happened to my system, and everything crashed. And everybody was like, "Oh," I was like, "Why are you people panicking?" Yeah. And the worst part is then we didn't have MP3 or phone to even copy it. Everything was CD, but I didn't copy it. So I just said, I sing the song again. I recreated the same thing I did. It was like the entire song was playing in my head for the entire album. I recreated everything again, and we did the album. And the second one, actually, I had to even add extra sounds, and it came out sweet. That's how much I loved music back then.
Have you left music?
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not like it used to be before.
Okay.
Before, I can't see a piano here. I'll just go and touch it. Now I can see a piano, walk past it, and just go my way.
What do you think happens?
I
Good
think
memories or bad memories? Or is it from a point of growth or from a point of regret?
no regrets. More of when I see it, I remember pain. That's all I remember. Once I hear sound, I just remember pain.
What kind of pain?
Every pain I've gone through with people, things I would have, I would say regret, things I would have done
Better.
right, yeah, but I didn't do them. And then people that abused what would you call it?
Your goodness in quotes.
Is it goodness? It's not just,
Being naive.
my being naive, people that abused it. I was used, like, oh Lord, they used me. They used me where they mopped me on the ground and then they left me.
It's funny. It's funny we're having this conversation, but I think things like this need to be said. It helps you know that it happens to even the best of us.
Yeah, I know everybody's expecting me to say, oh yeah, oh it was a good run, I did well, I ran the race, I didn't win shit. I did everything I could do. Yes, I got the trophy. Yes, I won the whole thing. But looking back now, you could tell that I lost out on everything. Yes, I had the passion, I had the memories, but I lost out on the prize.
What was the prize?
The prize to them, which was the money, the financial thing, I lost out on it. But the sweet part is those ones that enjoy the prize, now they don't have it. All those money has gone.
Money is transactional. I think money that I think now I get it. Now because it's but I'm coming from somewhere. Dekumzy, you created this, you could still do another one.
Yeah, I could. I just need to get back there in my mind. Get back to who I was in my mind. To look past the pain of, oh, these people did this. I need to forgive myself and them.
Good.
That's one part. If once I'm able to get past that, like I said before, when I came to UK, I need to recreate my music life, but I need to find people that sing.
Okay.
People that are nobody. So we can work from scratch and create something big, but this time we plan it well. We have a long-term deal.
So what you're saying is, if I'm a Davido and I come to meet you, you're still telling me you can't manage stars?
I can manage stars now.
Okay.
But I want to start. I want to.
You want to bet something?
Yes, I want to try my old self again to see if I can really do it again. Because
yeah,
I know I can do it again, but I want to try it again than jumping into a star's pocket and then we start doing things. Yeah. I can do that, fine. That's not a problem. But I want to start building again. I like building. I don't know why. Is it God that did that? But no, I like building.
But it's a good thing. See, most people. Why I like this is that most people don't know this thing about themselves. Most people are like, give me anything. But you've said it consistently. I want to start afresh. I want to build from scratch. And that's like knowing that that's your own superpower. Some people are good starters. They cannot finish. Yeah. In the beginning, I used to understand that I knew how to start. I knew how to end. But you see that in between. Yeah. Then with time, I knew I had to work on this in between. So it's being self-aware to know that this is what you can do.
It's been a hell of a journey for me, but thank God I'm here now and things are moving slowly and it's working out well.
So 2 things you think, if you were going to talk to the younger Derek that produced. So let's go back to everybody you produced.
Okay.
Let's get the list. The ones I know of.
Resonance.
Perfect. Changemaker album.
Yeah.
So I won't ask you about what happened to Resonance.
Yeah, because it's not my story to tell.
Perfect. But we loved everything you created with them. Yeah. Desperate Chicks.
Yes.
Yori.
Yori.
Brackets. Happy Day album, Yori album, Yori Remix album.
Okay. Which other one?
Those are the 3 albums I did with them. Yeah.
Okay. I'm calling the names, yeah.
Then TJ Lewuku. Ebibola. Forgot to mention that guy.
Okay.
I did that the same time we did I'm in Love with an Angel for Mr. Raw and Strong and Mighty, that album. Yeah.
Did you have contracts with them too, but it was just just
Contract. I didn't know anything about contract. Have you not been listening?
No. I'm finding it hard to, but it's fine. Don't mind me. Okay.
It was a free for all. I was a free Wi-Fi. Just come and tap in and go. And that's the abuse, because these guys, they know what they were doing to me. And they were just taking and taking and taking and taking. I'm not saying they are bad people.
Yeah, but it's what it is.
Yeah, but they were all taken and nobody was given.
Okay. They were paying for it. They were paying for a service. It was just simple exchange.
Yeah, but when you check what they were paying for it then and what they made from it, you could tell the difference. You could tell that something was not right here. Like if you were to go to court now, they will charge everybody, all of us go to jail. Even me for being naive, I'll go to jail. I'll go to jail.
Yeah. So which other one have we not called now?
Charlie Boy album with Dr. Album.
Oh really? You created that album?
Yes.
Nice. Now for everything you've done now, if you go back to the younger Derek and you were sitting in front of him, looking at him create this magic, what would you have told him to do better? What do you think that if that younger Derek did? And we're looking at several young people that have the gift of, that have this kind of gift you have, that they know how to, I think we're in an era in Nigeria or globally where we're having producers wake up from after 10 years and remind you that you didn't pay me for this song. And I've not seen you come.
That's the people have been fighting for that. I don't really care.
No, I think you've accepted that this was you being naive, and this is it. What do you think are those basic things that you should do if you're that gifted and your gift has started paying you, even before you start paying you?
Apart from the contracts and everything, there was one constant thing that kept all these things going.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I was a shy person.
Okay.
And because of the shyness and being an extreme, the highest introvert, I don't come out.
Okay.
Now that made it difficult for me to come out and even know people self.
Okay. People were coming to you.
Yes, people were coming to me. When we were doing what's the song? No Time, the video with Bracket and P Square.
Yeah.
P Square had no idea who I was. And Peter was sitting right beside me, but he had no idea who I was. And I didn't even talk. We were just there. It was when Vast Bracket came and said, hey, Peter, that's Dekumzy, the producer. The guy was like, you see that? He had no idea. And I was too shy to even talk to him. I just kept quiet, was just on my own. That was one problem I had. Being an introvert, being shy, it locked me up. It locked me up in my room, in my house, in my head.
So you would have said, get out of that box.
Yes, get out of that box. Because if I was out of that box, at least I would have been talking to people. They would have told me, oh, get contract, do this. Yes. You would have known things you were supposed to know.
True, because people would have seen, because maybe everybody felt you were cool.
Yes.
As in you didn't have a problem, man. As in he has this thing.
Yeah. Because I don't come out, nobody knows. A lot of people don't know what I look like. I go to a place and they argue about me. Dekumzy is this, because, and they have no idea.
Let me shock you. Someone said, you mean you found Dekumzy? We want to see him. Want him to tell the story. And I was like, the good thing is that people, as in, it's good people know your work, but that part of being an introvert and not coming out, I think it counts, that you can't keep hiding behind. I mean, an introvert.
People have no idea what I looked like back then. To show up for video was a problem. That was why when they were doing the devil thing, I was like, no, I need to look different, change my hair, do everything. Don't put my face. I was just trying to hide myself. I would always do that, hide myself. Me coming out for this is me coming out, bringing out. Do you know what it took me to sit down here and talk?
No, do you know what it took me to come out here? No, but that's good. That's me looking at you and saying, yes, you really, so many people are not aware of that part of themselves.
Yeah. I'm a very shy person.
That's fine.
And being an introvert,
and with the camera, you're very comfortable with behind. Once you now find the keyboard, as in, let me call them those that play the keyboard, those that are married to one instrument, they're like take the sounds.
We just sit down there and we're lost in that world.
You're the kind that say, let my work speaks for you. Speak for me.
That movie Empire really changed my mindset when I came here. Because I had to rewatch that movie again. Then I watched it, I was enjoying the movie and the music. But I had to rewatch it to see things from Lionel Lushio's perspective, to understand what that guy was doing. If I had that brain and that mindset, by now I'll be the dawn of the world. That's the truth. But it's never too late.
No, it can't be too late.
So I'm here and I'm gonna start again. And it's a good thing now I know how to do the video part and the audio part. Like I told you, I'm trying to do a movie. Okay. It's a series of some of people's life here in UK. Okay. So now I'll be shooting, I'll be directing, I'll edit, and I'm gonna be doing the sound. Because these are things I'm perfecting. I've learnt it over the years.
You know how to do it.
So I'm going to sit down and do it and then show the world, yes, I can really do all these things. Okay. Can you? And then manage the whole thing. That's the experience and things I've learned. So in as much as, yes, it's painful back then, yes, it's part of regret, but I'm happy it happened because it made me learn the next thing. Yeah. This one will make me learn the next thing. Go learn the next thing. Just keep going. But no more free walks.
Don't worry, I get that part.
No more free walks.
Dekumzy, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing this part of your life. So I won't ask you if you've broken your coconut, but I'll just ask you generally. I normally give my guests coconut because the idea is symbolic. But let me just ask you, do you think you've broken your coconut?
I'm just starting to look at the coconuts. Maybe the only coconut I've broken is to come out here. So I've broken out the coconut of being an introvert. The first one of coming out. Yeah. So now I'm looking at this one.
Take it and break.
This one, oh, I can't break it here. We don't know the loss. But this one will break in the house. I love coconuts.
That's nice. Thank you for creating good memories. No, it's good that I'm finally putting a face behind every song I used to listen then from Cosmo FM and all those hits you made. You made beautiful hits.
Thank you so much.
You made beautiful hits, and I don't think I think you said two things. You are aware of who you are. You know you can always create. You said it consistently. Yeah. I can always create from. Not everybody has that awareness, and now you know that gap. That what you needed was management. I know very well that you will sit. Just in case you have your next artist come and people knock on your door. I pity the next people you're going to work with. But the good thing is that you're coming with a wealth of experience and every other thing, and that's what makes us a better people. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Nice, man.
Thank you so much. Breaking the coconuts.
BTC show. Thank you, Dekumzy. It's all about choices, yeah?
My choice, yeah.